are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
The train
tipping
can't be stopped. Momentum is
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
The train
tipping
can't be stopped. Momentum is
Right?
already here.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling
I can only show you the door.
to awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is clearly
Time is coming.
at a
The train
tipping
can't be stopped. Momentum is
Right?
already here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning into The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. I do apologize that I am starting the live right now a little bit earlier, probably about an hour or so earlier than actually listed. I'm just under a lot of time constraints, and there's a lot of information to discuss. So I will go a little bit past 6:30, but I'm starting early. I mean, what do you want? I apologize. You can always rewind it if you just happen to cut in at some later time or whatever. I do value people's time and all that stuff, but I would actually prefer to do these lives, immediately when I get home from work. But it's hard to get all the setup I'm a family man. I'm not making excuses, but I got prioritize. Prioritize. You got to prioritize. Lot to discuss. I mean, there's been a lot going on. I've been having like tons of discussions online, and a part of me feels like I got to stop doing that. I have to stop doing that. Just going back and forth and arguing with people, doing this thumb war shit that we do. Excuse my language on the internet. On the internet. Damn, I can't talk today. I apologize, but we got a lot to discuss, and I want to get through it. One of the big things. I mean, I know. I mean, there's so many big topics. The digital ID is like massive. It's massive, and it's sweeping across Europe mostly. I'm not too sure what's actually happening in other countries. I know China has something very similar to it, and they've been known to have the what's it called social credit score, right? And that's tied in with the digital ID, so they already have it apparently. And that's sweeping across United States. I'm sorry, it's sweeping across Europe, the West, currently. And there's a lot of people, and in fact, I think a lot of it has gone up in Parliament today, if I'm not mistaken. I'm trying to pull up some of this stuff here. Maybe I shouldn't started as early as I am now because I don't have all my resources up. But we're gonna get through this, ladies and gentlemen. And also, thank y'all, if I haven't said it, for tuning into the True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. God bless y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. The last podcast that I had, I think it was with Freedom Man, I believe. The one prior to that was with a gentleman by the name of Jamie. And he was discussing pretty much a lot of the prison industrial complex issues. I'll have him on at some point. There's a lot of people I got to have back on here. There's Steve Grant. I had him on a couple months back. I want him back on. I still got to get, part 2 on the on the whole flat Earth theory stuff with PCs and Mag and Brillian. Brillian. I think it's Brillian. It's hard to keep up with everybody's names. But I mean, and shout outs to Dame too, because I've been going back and forth with him, and shout outs to Howie as well. A lot of it's been going on. A lot of the discussion really has been about biblical scripture and the whole Anunnaki stuff and the Sumerian texts. I don't want to get too far into it on this episode because that's just a completely drawing conversation of where all of that's going. But I've discovered a lot of things. I'm probably rediscovering these things because now I'm in this time in my life. I've been taking scripture a lot more serious than I've ever taken it serious. Things that I thought I knew have either been more confirmed or they've been more structured, or some of the stuff that I did know wasn't accurate. So I have a lot more of an understanding and accuracy on what's in scripture, particularly in Genesis and the genealogy story and all that stuff, and how we have, different peoples. I don't want to get too far into that. Maybe towards the end of the podcast I will, but I want to focus. I want to do my best to try and focus on the topic matters here. Digital ID being one of them. Is anyone aware of the digital ID? Revelations 13:17. I would highly recommend that you read that. Read the whole book. Obviously the whole chapter of 13, but actually we could read it together. We're going to read it together anyway, because this is what we do on here. This is the true perspective. All right. And these aren't my words. This is according to Revelation scripture. But before I even read that, because I'm getting a little ahead of myself. I have a lot of coffee in me today, ladies and gentlemen. I haven't been sleeping very well either. I'm not sure what it's due to. It's been like that for a little while. Also, someone told me to start taking labels off of the water bottles that I drink. I guess to like copyright stuff or whatever. Anyway. So what were we looking at? Yeah, digital ID, right? And I do have something on YouTube. It's from the Prime Minister of the UK, I believe. Yeah, it's the UK. And like, man, the UK, you guys are going through it. I mean, biblically, you're going through it on a scale. I mean, not so much on the scale that we see in Nigeria or the Congo, where the people over there are being completely massacred by Islamic extremists and quite literally being wiped out. There's been mass graves that are being opened up and burying these people. Christians. I mean, these are brothers and sisters of in Christ, 50,000, 56,000 recently. I know that's like a meme that's been going around, but the article's been going around as well. I believe that's I think that's Nigeria. And I think right now it totals out to about 100,000 Nigerians that have been murdered, burned, raped, children. This is children included also. These are children being killed. So we have that. We have the realization of that, and then also we see in sections of the West, like the UK, for instance, which has been under. It seems like as though they've been under siege by their own government. I mean, it's been like that for a while. It's been like that for a few decades, but the level of depravity that's becoming over there, where like pastors and street preachers are being taken off of the streets or being arrested just for mentioning and uttering the words Jesus Christ, or uttering the words of a gospel, or going to just even mentioning it because it's so-called offends other people who may not believe in the same thing. Their freedom of speech is completely done out there in the UK for the most part, especially if someone who's preaching the gospel, or if you're preaching some type of truth, speaking out against the government. People are going, the police officers are going to these people's houses. I mean, I've seen a ton of stuff on Instagram and X, formerly known as Twitter, of all of these videos of like police officers going, showing up at these people's houses, saying like, "Oh, you said something online, and what's this about? And we got to come inside your house, and we have to come inside your house." Oh, that's a terrible accent. I could do way better than that. I'm just not in the mood to do it right now. "Excuse me, sir. We have to enter in your house. You've made an incriminating Facebook post." Like something along those lines. And they come to these people's house and they say like, "Oh yeah, you made this whatever, this threatening post, or this." No, I'm sorry. They don't even say the word threatening. They say the words offensive post. And we need to come inside and do like a check, like a what is it? What do they do? Like a wellness check of some sort. And some of these people are getting arrested for saying things online. It's been happening in Germany. It's been happening in France, Australia. I don't know if it's been happening in Canada, though. Yes, actually, some arrests have happened just because of street preaching. And we're starting to see some of this now happening in the U.S. It has not made like a wide scale just yet, but it's coming, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, come on. Have we forgotten what COVID was doing? When COVID came here and churches wanted to keep their churches going, even temples, some of the Jewish temples, and I'm not sure about mosques. I mean, I don't know. I may have to look that up because I don't want to be completely biased. I mean, I want to be biased at all, rather, but I don't want to leave out if there were other belief systems being threatened by that. But as far as I've been seeing, it's only been people that have been preaching the gospel, or churches, pastors, street preachers, all that stuff, who have been being harassed, arrested, and charged with ridiculous freaking crimes. As far as I could tell, America has not quite suffered that just yet. Although we've been seeing the glimpses of it. I mean, I'm telling you, the only thing that's holding this stuff back is because we have the Second Amendment. That's literally probably that, and God's grace. But if you're just tuning in now, thank you for tuning into The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. I know I'm starting a little bit earlier than the time is said, and I apologize about that. I will go past 6:30. I had it scheduled for 6:30, but right now I've been opening up this show with digital ID and how it's been affecting the UK in a very crucial way, and it's swooping all across Europe. It's swooping all across Europe, and it's mainly hitting the UK right now. I think it's up in Parliament, I believe. Where's that video that I had? Yeah. So this guy, what's his name? Keir Starmer, I believe, is their prime minister, their version of a president. And forgive me if anyone's watching from the UK. I'm not 100% privy to the language that's used on how to identify a particular politician, but from my understanding, this person that I'm going to show on screen in a moment is the prime minister of the UK, and he's like all for this whole digital ID, and he's making it out to seem like this whole, this big thing, like, oh yeah, it's going to be good for your banking, it's going to be good for buying food and whatnot. So I want to play this clip. I think this is the clip that I want to play that will, kind of give a little bit of a nutshell rundown of what digital ID is going to look like. This is for the UK, by the way. It's not America. However, a lot of things that have happened over in the UK, over in Australia, or even in China, the American government, rather, tends to adopt some of these atrocious, tyrannical policies. And look, if anyone remembers going back 10, 15 years ago, maybe about 20 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, I would say, shortly after 9/11, actually, which goes back even a little bit further, kind of showing my age. The RFID chip was supposed to actually be implanted under the skin, and in some states, some countries have gone on to do that, and have continued to do that currently. But because there's been so much pushback on allowing that to happen, no one really was going forward with it. So they started to implement it on our licenses, like our driver's licenses and stuff like that. This is why we have, I'm not sure how any other states out there. I know in Rhode Island, they made us basically get rid of the passport and then get this license that says real ID. So it's your license, but it's also your passport, or something stupid like that. And on one hand, it's like a huge money grab, but another thing, it's also supposed to be just the designation where all of your information goes to. Eventually, the entire plan of how this whole apparatus is supposed to be is that it has every part of information that you have, all of everything that you've bought, your hospital visits, your doctor appointments, your dental appointments, your driver's license information, your social security, your birth certificate, your address, your businesses, your financial status, your or your finances rather. What are you buying, and all that, so on and so forth. This is the equivalency to what digital ID actually. Digital ID is going to be very literal of what that is. So basically, everything that you do, purchase, and all that stuff is tracked. Now, someone could say like, "Oh, well, it's already tracked. They already know where you're buying." Yeah, but you also have the choice to use cash. So you can go to the bank, take cash out, buy whatever you have to buy. Because let's face it, a lot of people out there that are very they prefer using cash. Okay, there's really no conspiracy reason why someone would prefer to go to the bank, take out cash to go whatever it be, whether it be $40 to $500 or whatever. It's your money. You need it now, right? You go and buy whatever you need to go buy. A lot of people prefer to do that. I prefer to have actual cash in my hand. Also, do I pay with my card? Of course I do. I have that option. People want the autonomy to have those options to do that. So where am I going with this? So yeah, digital ID basically is going to be the ultimate tracking of whatever you're doing. Also, it's going to be tracking whatever you're doing online, wherever you're going online, whatever you're reading online, whatever you're listening to or watching online. You corn lovers. But it goes beyond that. You know what I'm saying? What it's saying is that your complete privacy is completely done for. And yes, we know that the privacy, because we're under a surveillance state, but that's ultimate control. And that all of your finances, the way that you buy things is only going to be digital. Like 100% is only going to be digital. You won't have the option to take cash out to use it in order to go buy things. It's going to be 100% controlled, watched all the time. So say for instance, and I may be speculating a little bit here, but I don't think I am, because if you know like I know on how governments operate and how states operate, and how people who are in the pockets of very sophisticated, very powerful people, you know that these programs and these institutions are implemented solely just for control of the masses, period. Like, let's not pretend that these things are made for the betterment of society. They're just not. I mean, are there things in society that intend on the betterment of society? Sure. I mean, you could probably name 1,000 examples, and I'd probably agree with you. But digital ID is the complete opposite of that. They're going to sell it to you, like, yeah, you'll have all this access. It'll be, you go through the DMV, and it'll be completely smooth. I don't know if anyone else has a problem at a DMV, but I know in Rhode Island, the DMV is probably the worst place to ever go to. It's probably better now because you can make appointments, but even that sucks. Airports or whatever, they can identify you immediately, whatever. Oh yeah, this guy's good. This guy's not, though. He makes a lot of posts on Facebook that's conspiratorial. This guy has a podcast. He talks a lot about the government. Don't let him fly. So that's the premise of what digital ID is. That's the premise, actually, of what the RFID card was supposed to be, or the RFID chip, which was supposed to be implanted under the skin. That was literal. Go look it up. I'm not making these things up. You can go look these up. If I have time, I'll bring that part up too. But we're so far removed from RFID. We're now in the complete digital age. They can completely digitize everything. Now, I don't know how they're going to implement it on you. I think we should read more into that. I don't know if I've particularly discovered that, but I'll play this video. I know I've just gone on a little bit of a rant here, but if you're just tuning in, we're talking about digital ID, and I thank you for tuning in to The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Please share these. Please share while we're live. Oh, also, real quick too, I'll announce that later, but anyone that's interested in calling in and having discussion or have any questions, I'm gonna bring that option up at some point during the show. So, stick around for that. That's pretty much the whole point of, doing podcasts, is just having that line of dialogue. But anyway, let me bring this up. because I don't know the full extent yet of how they're going to implement fully what digital ID is supposed to be. Like, are they going to implement it on the skin? Is it going to be, like a handprint, like a thumbprint or whatever? I know back in the day, like the whole thumbprinting on getting your driver's license was huge too, and it still is. I mean, it's all about tracking. They want to track you 100% of the time, not a little, not 95%, not 5%, 100% of the time. They want to track everything that you're doing. They want to know what you're doing. One, it's for data harvesting. Two, it's for complete control. I mean, they're probably one and the same. What goes first? They want more control. They want more data. I think it's one and the same. So let me bring this video up and we'll listen to this together. I think I might have heard it a few times, but so this guy here his name's Kier. Whoops, don't want to get Stephen Smith. No Stephen Smith today.
Too many years.
Sorry. I hate when the reels are like this and they bounce around.
Are you going to say something? I just want to say. There it is.
That's not it. Sorry. Apologize, everybody. Hold on here. Are you
going to say something? I just want to say. There it is.
That's not what I wanted. I just had him up. Come on. Sorry about this, everybody. Hold on a second. I just had it up. I don't want the long version. I want this one. We'll watch this.
For too many years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. For too many years, it's been too easy.
Wow. Wow. Y'all heard that, right? In the UK, you will not be able to work at all if they implement this system of digital ID. Sorry, I'm not even on screen. The UK, y'all heard that, right? This guy, Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the UK, said, his words, you will not be able to work unless you have digital ID, free of charge. You won't have to pay for it. United Kingdom. That's for United Kingdom right now. That's what they're facing. That's what France is facing. Italy's facing. That's what Canada, I believe, potentially will be facing. Australia, I think. What countries? I believe China's already got it. I can't spell for shit right now. I don't want AI to tell me. I just want to find out. Okay. So according to this article, as far as September 25th of this year, 2025, countries that are going to be implementing it is Singapore, India, Estonia, Sweden, Germany, Japan, and Canada. So I don't know. I'm pretty sure I heard Australia and the other countries that I mentioned earlier. I mean, it's Europe. The UK wants to do this. The European Union wants to do this. And America wants to do this. So what does that tell you? This digital ID. So what everything that the UK and Europe does, America ends up adopting almost all the time, and vice versa. They it's like Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Anything that Massachusetts does, Rhode Island ends up doing. Anything that California does, Massachusetts ends up adopting, and probably New York too. And it's not by accident. It's not by, well, I'll just copy this state, or I'll just copy this country to do what they. No, it's all everyone. All of these implementations of these institutions and control systems, it's all coming from the same source. All of it, all coming from the same source. All coming from the same 13 families. Which I need to do a podcast on. I need to talk about that. It probably has to be a freaking documentary or something. And there's many out there. You can go look it up. Who are the 13 families that are in control of basically all of the resources, all of the financials, all of the money of the world? Who are they? Well, Rothschilds are one of them. Rockefellers are another. And these people are all related. The Obamas are related. The Clintons are related. The Bushes are related. I haven't confirmed, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Trumps are related. Wouldn't be surprised if the Bidens are related. The Cheneys are related. All of these people are related in some form or some way. And the ones that get knocked off and killed are typically ones that are not probably related. And if they are, actually, I'm wrong about that, because Princess Diana was killed under very conspiratorial circumstances. Because I think she was actually marrying outside of the family. They didn't want that, and that if that were to happen, that would have pretty much cut off their bloodline, and it may have changed things, at least for the so-called royal family. I think Princess Diana, saw through that. God rest her soul. So look, we have digital ID that's floating around in government discussion. Why? I mean, and why is that something to be upset about? Why is that something to be concerned about? Well, if you're anyone like me that follows along with history, that follows along with biblical scripture, and I'm sick of people saying, "Oh, well, scripture was written by man and all that stuff." Yeah, it was written by man, but it was guided by God. Their hands were guided, and not only was scripture guided by the Most High. When you look at the Old Testament going up to the New Testament, which the Old Testament is the Old Covenant, New Testament is the New Covenant. That's what those things mean. You're looking at the genealogy of how the tribes were created and the fallen angels who became Nephilim, who became giants, made wives of women, of human women, and created those things to try and break the bloodlines, corrupt the bloodlines. And it did. They did, in fact, corrupt the majority of the bloodlines and created certain peoples. And some of those certain peoples think that they have the right and the authority to have the dominion, which is rulership over earth and over the people who they wish to have rulership over, which is you and I. And this is why they created these divisive systems, like the systems that how we address ourselves, white and black, which was invented in 1676 by the British Royal Crown so they could divide the Irish and the Africans and the indigenous people of America and throughout the Caribbean and throughout the rest of the world. And it stuck. The terms white and black were invented in 1676. No one was called white or black or brown or any other so-called color or race, for that matter. In fact, you were called by your tribe. If I'm not mistaken, you were called by literally by which tribe that you came from. And where do you hear tribes that are mentioned? It's mentioned throughout Genesis. It's mentioned throughout the Old Testament, the Old Covenant. It's mentioned in the New Covenant, which is where you get Yeshua, right? So, I mean, that talking about that. So talking about any of that is just another podcast in itself, and I don't mind going down that route. I actually love talking about that stuff because people need to know it. I guess what I said earlier, because I hate when people say, you're talking about scripture like it has anything to do with any of this that's going on. It absolutely does. I mean, if you can't see that, I don't even know how to get that across to you. If you can't look at history and line, or if you can't even look at either or, if you can't look at scripture and history and line it up with each other on specific events that have occurred throughout history, these things can be proven from archaeological study and discovery. There's still structures that are there biblically written about. And I, for one, and you may not, but I know that I do, is that I take biblical scripture as historical historical literature. Because there's a lineage in there that tells us who these people are that are in control of basically like 95% of the planet, of the world. I don't mean to say planet because I don't know if we live on a planet. I might lose people sometimes but listen, this is why people have to read and not take organizations like NASA and the U.S. government or Netanyahu or the Canadian Prime Minister or Gavin Newsom or Trump, for that matter, and take their word as face value at all times. You got to learn how to. I mean, I'm sorry, people. You got to learn. You got to read. You got to read. You got to listen, and you also have to listen to other independent people. You have to listen to other people that are. And I'm not saying taking my word for it. Don't take my word for it. Go do the research. Go read. Reading is the fundamental of. I mean, look, when we're children and we're being taught how to read and what to read and the alphabet and all that stuff, there's a reason why it's important to know that. Now it's part of, I guess it kind of goes against the system in itself. I mean, because they probably rather us not be able to read, right? Not be able to know things, but the human, the fire of a human being who wants to know, who has the hunger to know and research things and has the intuition inside themselves to know that something is wrong, and the hunger to reach, and it's almost like a compelling yearning that you're missing something. We don't, maybe there wouldn't be a scripture, or maybe there wouldn't be any historical literature to learn from, and you would almost innately know that there's something wrong in the system. It would probably take you longer to figure out. Anyway, I'm going on a rant here. I apologize, but I think where I was going with is that I want to read Revelations 13 through. I'm just going to read the whole freaking chapter. It's only 18 verses. Because this is all stemming from digital ID, and if you're just tuning in right now, I was just talking about digital ID from the Prime Minister of Keir Starmer, and what he said. I'll recap it. Is that what he said? Is that if you want to work on, how did he say it? I might just replay the video because it's stark. I mean, he says it quite literally. He says it. Not quite literally. He says it literally. You will not be able to work if you don't have digital ID. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to just play the video again for those that are tuning in. I'll just play it again.
slip into the shadow economy and remain here illegally.
Oh,
Too many years.
and another
it's been
thing.
too easy.
Sorry, and another thing, what he said to take notice of is that he mentioned immigration. So they're going to use immigration because in the UK they're having an incredible influx of immigration, probably worse than the US right now. And I know we're going to talk about ICE. We're going to talk about ICE. This is probably our segue into that after this. But they're having an immigration problem with Muslims, and they're getting a lot of. There's been a lot of an uptick in violence, homelessness. The Muslims they're praying in the streets on one hand, and then the Christians are being arrested and harassed by the police and charged for preaching the gospel. So there's that going on. But what he says in here is that they want to monitor, they want to know who's coming in and out of the country via immigration. That's the ploy that they're going to use in order to try and implement digital ID. I mean, that's how he's trying to sell it right now. I'll play the video for those that are just tuning in. You'll hear it in a moment. That's likely the premise that America's going to use in order to get people on board with that, because you see the right and the left going back and forth about immigration. I have thoughts about immigration. I don't like it any more than anybody else, but it's not an easy fix. I certainly don't want digital ID to start being implemented in order to monitor people be coming in and out here. That's a whole other conversation in itself, and we'll get there in a moment. But they're going to try and use these types of situations, which they manufactured, by the way. The border of America has been wide open for years. The UK has had a border issue for years, and they're using that situation. They know that situation. They know how to take care of the situation. They create the situation, so the situation becomes a problem. What do? They come in. Oh, we have the solution. We're the good guys now. You can come and take this digital ID, give us all of your rights, and we'll take care of you. Don't worry. But you're not going to be able to work if you don't get it. So there's that. So they weigh that pressure on you. They use words like mandatory as opposed to force. Same language that was being used back in COVID. If anyone remember, I'm sure you remember what COVID was when you had to get this whole COVID, COVID ID proof that you had the shot. And a lot of people had to go out and do it. I know people who have been hurt by that financially and physically. But let's play this video because we'll recap, and then I'm going to read the revelations after this too. Spotlight. There we go.
For people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. For too many...
Wow. You will not be able to work unless you have digital ID. So they're going to let you starve and your family starve, and they'll let you live on the streets, and they'll let you be poor, homeless, without anything. And I'm sure they'll try and figure out a program for that so that they can lessen the pushback. If they are able to implement this, by the way, because I don't think it has gone through yet. But some countries have already gone. I mean, China. Lord help us. China. People in China are like homeless. I was watching something. Now again, you got to be careful because AI and the Sora 2 or whatever it is, it's very good. But it's not good in the sense, like you could tell, like it's pretty at first glance you can't tell, but when you keep watching it's like, oh, that's, you got a bear and a deer crashing through someone's window while he's sitting on the toilet or whatever. That's like, anyway. Yeah, so and that's the UK. I know that's not the US, but the UK and the US might as well be the same thing because it's all part of the Western European Union. All of it. And America typically, the only reason why America's not implementing a lot of these policies is because we have the Second Amendment, we still have the First Amendment. Barely. I mean, probably not. Like I feel like the Second Amendment, we're literally on like borrowed time speaking out, speaking the gospel or speaking about the people who are in control and who are doing like parasitic things. Hey John, shout outs to you, brother. You said you could hear it, but it was kind of weak. Like the video. I apologize. Thank you for letting me know that, though. Because I had the freaking volume down. All right, I'll play it one more time. Sorry, I'll play this one last time. Then I'm gonna read. Then I'm gonna read Revelations. Someone just told me that. Shout out to John. Someone told me that he told me that the volume was not good. So I'm gonna replay this because the volume wasn't good the first time. So if you're just tuning in, we've been talking about digital ID, blah blah blah. I'm gonna play it. Thank you for tuning in, though, to the True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Let's play the video.
For years, it's been too easy for people to come here, slip into the shadow economy, and remain here illegally. Because, frankly, we've been squeamish about saying things that are clearly true. It's not just that it's not compassionate left-wing politics to rely on labour that exploits foreign workers and undercuts fair wages, but the simple fact that every nation needs to have control over its borders. We do need to know who is in our country. Our immigration system does need to be fair if we want to maintain that binding contract that our politics is built on. Otherwise, it undermines trust, undermines people's faith that we're on their side, and their belief that the state can and will work for them. And that is why today I am announcing this government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that. For too many years, it's been too easy for people to...
There you have it. That's what they want to do, ladies and gentlemen. And that's just in the British Parliament, once again. Yeah, you're not going to be able to. So this is where it gets to where I want to finally to get to the meat of Revelations 13. You won't be able to buy or sell unless you bear the mark And we're going to read it. And the reason why we're reading it is because it's relevant. This is where it's all been leading up to. Much of the things in Revelation, much of the things in the Gospels and all that stuff, whatever scripture, whatever you believe, scripture in my research, in my study, I treat scripture as historical literature. Yes, it has holy the properties to it are holy, but it's historical literature. It tells us about who we are, what we're dealing with, and how we have to turn away from it, resist it, and ascend from it. And it tells us that these things, such as what's happening, what I just showed you, is going to occur. Let me bring I gotta take this guy off. Let me put rather Revelations on here. I'm gonna read from the King James Version. Actually, you know what? Let's read from the Geneva, because I like read. I prefer, also from study, that the Geneva from 1599 is probably the closest authentic version from the Hebrew, or well, in this case, from the Greek, because it's Revelation, so it's part of New Testament. But let's read. Here we are, and it's on Bible Gateway. Everybody can BibleGateway.com. It's a great resource. I typically use the Blue Letter Bible app on the phone, but for this purpose, I'm going to read from Bible Gateway. So this is Revelations 13. The beast with many heads is described, which draweth the most part of the world to idolatry. The other beast rising out of the earth giveth power unto him. And I saw a beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns were 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and his feet like a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his throne and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, but his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered and followed the beast. And they worshipped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who is able to war with him? And there was given unto him a mouth that spake great things and blasphemies, and power was given unto him to do 42 months. And he opened his mouth unto blasphemy against God, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over every kindred and tongue and nation. Therefore, all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of that Lamb, which was slain from the beginning of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. If any lead into captivity, he shall go into captivity. If any kill with a sword, he must be killed by a sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And I beheld another beast coming out of the earth, which had 2 horns like the lamb, but he spake like the dragon. And he did all that the first beast could do before him, and he caused the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he did great wonders, so that he made fire to come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceived them that dwell on the earth by the signs which were permitted to him to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make the image of the beast, which had the wound of a sword and did live. And it was permitted to him to give a spirit unto the image of the beast, so that the image of the beast should speak, and should cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he made all, both small and great, rich and poor, free in bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath wit count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So I know there's a lot in there that's I mean, there's so much in there that to break down, like the 10 horns and 7 heads and 10 horns. There's so much in there. I read the whole thing to give the entirety of what's being said in there. The important part to point out was basically 13. So verse 13, I'm sorry, chapter 13, verses 16 and 17, which is when it says, and he made all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. Now we have seen across the world where people have gotten chips in their arms or some type of thing where they can identify with their hand. More so recently, but in the past, there have been people who have had chips put in their hand, which is basically very similar to what digital ID is supposed to operate as. Now they say it's digital, right? But if you have to pay attention to what these people are saying when they're saying that when he's saying that it's digital, you won't be able to work if you don't have a digital ID. So when you go to work, are you in the digital? Like, is your desk digital? Is your keyboard digital? If you're a person like me who works outside, like in utility or something like that, are your tools digital? Other than your phone, because you probably have a phone, right, that you have to record everything on. But is everything else digital? If you're going into people's houses, is that digital? No, you're actually doing that. This isn't all based off of a flash drive. You know what I'm saying? So if you can't work without digital ID, you're going to have to carry that with you somehow, right? Are they going to give you a QR code? Are they going to put a QR code on you? Are they going to put a chip in you to where it holds all your information? It's all whatever. You got an electrical current that goes through your body. We all are. We're all pretty much batteries. And that just keeps the thing on. That's a real thing too. Research that. Those chips actually are powered by the human body. People probably think like, what the hell is he talking about? Go look it up. It's really out there. We're living in the future right now. We're living in science fiction. Science isn't fiction. Fiction isn't science. We're getting close to an age where science and magic are going to be one and the same. This is how they're going to try and fool people. They're going to fool people by using, first of all, artificial intelligence is a weapon. It's a weapon. You know how I explain to people when science and governments and institutions, invent certain breakthroughs such as cloning or some type of resource harvesting, some type of some type of space vehicle or whatever it is. None of these things are used for the intention of the betterment of society. They only appear that way. Like when the atom was when the atom was discovered, and then when they were able to split it, what the hell is his name? Why am I blanking on his name right now? um, really, I got to Google this because my brain's a piece of garbage right now. Oh my goodness, Robert Oppenheimer. How could I not remember his damn name? Oh wait, sorry, Freedom Man. What did you say? How many states in European Union? No, not Madam Curie. I probably should have been more clear. I was actually asking who invented the atom bomb, and for whatever reason, I couldn't figure out. I knew the name, it just wasn't coming to memory for some reason. Because I'm like, it's been a long week, been a long month, been a long year. But J. Robert Oppenheimer is, well, he's one of the main people that invented the atomic bomb through the Manhattan Project. How many states in the European Union? Good question, actually, because I'm not even sure. Hold on. Europe. How many states in the European Union? How do I spell Europe? There we go. Telling you, today's different today for me. Yeah. So my point with the whole thing with technology is that when people found out that they could split the atom, they weaponized it. So initially, it was made to create energy, but it ended up being a weapon also, and wiping out like what 200,000 Japanese people from Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And it wasn't even, and again, that wasn't even dropped on a military base. It was dropped on like civilians. The famous picture of the little girl that's like running. I think it's a little girl or a boy. I mean, it's a young kid, very young child, I think. And they're running, and they got like, I think if I remember correctly, it was like skin hanging off. So my point is like the technologies that are being created, like artificial intelligence being one of them, being the main one, really. I mean, this is going to be a devastating weapon. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be a devastating weapon. It's going to do things that we are going to be like, what is this? I'm still looking, John. It said 27. It says 27 member states. According to Wikipedia, it says the European Union is a supranational political and economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in Europe. Does it list which ones? Trying to find. It specifies which states or which countries. I might have to just Google that too. Are part of European Union. I think this is it right here. According to European Union.europa.eu, Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Czechia, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, and Sweden. According to the European Union.europa.eu website, that is I'll actually drop that in the comments right now. That is those are the current states of the European Union, 27 of them. What the heck? Here we go. Now it doesn't want to show me comments. What's all that? What's all what? Can't see the. Shout outs to Libby. Thank you for tuning in. I don't know why it's not letting me see the whole comment. That's weird. What's all that? I can barely see that comment. Why is it doing that to me? This is annoying. What are you saying? What's all that? Oh, that was Libby. Okay. I'm not sure what you're referring to. Oh. Yeah, so what was I saying? So yeah, the technologies that mankind seems to develop almost always, actually always ends up being a weapon. Artificial intelligence is going to be like something we've not seen ever in our human history, probably ever. And we also have this 3-1 Atlas thing supposedly that's coming according to NASA. Never a straight answer. That's coming our way. And I believe it's a psyop. I believe it's probably going to be used for something more sinister. I'm almost certain. Again, they weaponize everything. They weaponize politics. They weaponize race. They weaponize religion. They weaponize language and nations. This is what they do. This is part of their New World Order plan. And they know that they're close to it, but they know that there's so much pushback. Digital ID is going to be, it's probably just as worse as AI, because AI is going to be implemented into this. Of course, I mean, AI is implemented in almost everything now. You see it everywhere. You see it in restaurants, you see it in shopping centers, you see it online virtually everywhere. I mean, it's literally everywhere. It's parasitic to the point that it gets harder to tell what is and isn't AI. And it's still not as good yet. But some things are like, what is that? Like and that's what sucks, because sometimes the information that you come across, you got to be like, oh, okay, well, is this AI? Am I being fooled? Because some people have sent me things, and I'm like, yo, dude, that's AI. It's not real. Apologize, trying to straighten my mic out here. Yeah, I'll come across things. People will send me something. I'm like, yo, that's not even a real video. It's like not even the whole thing's already, not even a little bit of it's a real video. None of it. A lot of it is like, the police officer chasing after Chucky. That's a complete AI video, or the bear. Like I said earlier in the video in the show, the bear and the deer crashing through the window while this guy who's not real is on the toilet. And it's not real, but it looks real. It looks like it would be something that's out of a movie rather than actually being legitimate. So yeah, man. I mean, we got digital ID. The UK's using this premise that they have an immigration issue, so digital ID is going to be able to track everybody to make sure who's coming in and out. This is exactly what America's going to use. They're going to use this because we already have a supposed issue with elections. They're going to use that. They're going to use those things. They're going to try and win the hearts, especially of the conservative Republican, and they're going to sell it to the left in the sense where this is to make sure like that there's a legitimized tracking of probably votes. They'll probably sell it to them like, who's who that's owns this business, works at this place, speaks at this event, because that's also what it's going to come down to, as well, as that people will be able to like hack and dox, like super dox somebody, super dox their finances, where exactly they live, their businesses, all of it. You know that's going to happen. I mean, you know that will happen. This is going to happen to politicians, by the way, as well, if they go through with it. Politicians, people in the armed forces, police, ICE agents, judges, lawmakers. If digital ID is going to be, because this is it's all part of the plan of division and to create chaos. They acquire more control through the means of chaos, through the means of division. So if politicians can be found out and doxed and where they are, and say hypothetically, because I know this is going to be a scenario. This is all of these choreographed things of violence that occur. It's all orchestrated this way, where somebody could find out a politician. I mean, politicians can get their information found out if someone looks hard enough, I imagine. But if they can actually track, say, a politician or someone that's, I don't know, someone of importance, or to whoever that person is, then they can track that person to wherever they are and unalive them for, whatever political beef that they have, for saying something out of free speech or whatever the hell it is. And if they figure that out, digital ID is going to make that more accessible to someone who could hack into somebody else's information, especially if they're being assisted with artificial intelligence, which artificial intelligence is going to assist in all that type of stuff. And it's going to be, it's going to create more danger in that. And also, if you don't, so say you do get the digital ID, right? And don't do it. Don't do this. Don't do this. But say this happened. Say you did. And you start speaking out about things. Maybe you're not somebody that's like into politics or someone that doesn't necessarily speak out about things, but there's going to be some situation where you're going to be disgruntled about, you're not going to be okay with, you're going to speak out against it. AI picks that up, reports it to a system that says, "Oh no, he's community guidelines. Digital ID will obey some artificial intelligence community guidelines on a massive database somewhere," and say, "Oh, Joe the plumber says he disagrees with the tax hike on his home, or Jane Doe doesn't feel like feels like she's been wronged by the state somehow for a parking ticket or whatever." And that and those types of things are identified as being speaking against the system in some format. You get whacked with a citation of some sort on a social credit score system, and says, "Oh, they charge you for it." Maybe they take a infraction of your money, or maybe they withhold you from going somewhere. Say you want to take a plane ticket or an Uber ride or a train ride to somewhere in the country or somewhere in the world, and they say, "No, you can't do that because you've been speaking too much about, or you've been misbehaving." They want to create an artificial blanket system to where they can control normal behavior, normal circumstances, to where someone is having a disgruntled or an opinion or a free speech situation, and they want to control that behavior. They want you to be completely in line. They want you to be completely submissive to a system that they've created for at least 1,000, 2,000 years now, at least. At least we just happen to be at the era, a technological era to where they're capable of doing it on a wide scale globally. And it boggles my mind on where the hell they're getting this type of where the hell they're getting this type of technology from. I mean, who thinks of these things other than someone that just has evil intentions? And it's not just someone having evil intentions, it's a group of people. This is group thinking. You know, if you look into the Nazis and what they were doing during World War II, when they were, there's a conspiracy. I hate that word, although a lot of us wear it as a badge these days. But there's a conspiracy that the Nazis, Adolf Hitler, specifically, and some of his higher ups were in. Well, first of all, they were part of the occult, so they believed in, and their lineage comes from an occult system, biblically. Scripturally, it talks about that. Not the Nazis specifically, but it talks about the lineage of where Nazis come from. That's a whole other podcast. I could get into that later. But the occult, which was part of the Third Reich, which was a part of Adolf, which was a part of Nazi Germany at the time, during World War II, they were trying to discover, and they did discover certain technologies that they used. They're the ones that were able to get the jet first. They're the ones that I think they were the ones that invented a certain type of drone. It wasn't a drone that they could operate, but they could fly it or send it out rather. It had wings, and it was basically just like a dummy drone. And when it lost fuel, it would lose fuel, and then it would crash down. Those were some of the technologies that they invented, the Nazis. So I don't know where my point was going with that. I think I was saying, like, where's the idea of getting this information or getting these types of technologies to where they immediately want to weaponize it. When they struck oil, they immediately wanted to weaponize oil. One of the ways of weaponizing oil was to be able to control the resource and say that it has a limitation to what it to the amount of where it is, and so they could price tag it. And then they also used oil as a way to weigh it against other countries for resource gouging, basically, to hold it against another country, to starve them out of a resource and to make them comply in certain things. And this is how they've been running the world for the last 2,000 years. Probably more. Probably I might even add another 1,000 years to that, but it's at least around there. So digital ID, artificial intelligence, the surveillance system, digital ID is going to be the closing of that apparatus. It's going to be, think of everything right now as in the lockbox. It's not locked yet. Digital ID locks it and throws the key away. And it's forever. until the system dies. Until the monsters that control it leave. And there's really only one way when that occurs. And I think, some people say, like, well, why are we waiting for that to happen? Why are we waiting for some being from the sky to come out? Because which army that you can think of right now that's capable, at all capable? We're capable of resisting. We can resist. I'm not saying that we can't change policy. I'm not saying we can't change and steer the ship. But you cannot fight a giant without enough people in a unified agreement that there is an actual monster that they're facing and that they need to get rid of. You literally have to have that on your side or you lose. And then once that is, hey, Nicole, thank you for tuning in. Once you have that, who takes up the rulership? What's the next nation that takes up the rulership and is given that power? Because we've seen it for hundreds of years. We've seen it for thousands of years. Power corrupts the human person. Now, there are some good rulers that have lived throughout history, but they're very few and far between. I actually can't even name one. I mean, maybe King David, maybe Solomon, maybe. I mean, not really, because wars have always broken out. Wars have always happened. People die, women get raped, children get thrown into the fire. I mean, there's only one way. There only can be one way. I can't see any other intervention other than it being divine. And I'm going to stick on that. I'm going to stand on that rock. Samaritans created the whole mind control. What? Saying? Sorry. Trying to read that. I apologize. There we go. Now I can see the freaking comment. Samaritans created the whole mind control thing that is still being used today. I don't know enough about it. I know that Edomites have something to do with it. I know that Cain have something to do with it. So, but there are people that are in control that come from a long line of lineage. Yeah, send me the video. I'll watch it later. And the rest of us who they treat as like commoners just think that that we're just going to be pushed over and mauled and massacred. And many of us will be, because many don't know the truth, or they're too scattered. So now let's talk about ICE. ICE being you know what? I want to talk about ICE. I want to talk about the National Guard, the Texas National Guard being sent to Chicago. I thought Chicago had their own National Guard. Doesn't matter. The thing is that immigration is such a complex, hard conversation to have. Some people are saying like, no, it's not. It's if you're Christ-like or whatever, you should be letting. You shouldn't be against having anybody in. Yeah, sure. You're not wrong saying that when you say it like that. But when you have cartels coming in here, when you have identified Islamic extremist groups that are coming in here, and by the way, our government, the U.S. government, and the Israeli government, and Qatar and Iran have funded these types of things to happen. So let's make sure that when we're talking about immigration, we're talking about this is being designed to happen. So yes, do we have real people that are coming through here that are trying to escape, their country or countries? Absolutely. I mean, America's intent after it was able to get beyond, get beyond colonialism, and get beyond slavery, and get beyond chattel slavery and Jim Crow, and was able to break from that in some form or some fashion, to be able to get beyond that and rise above it. All people, America's intention was to have people come here to have a better life, because we have freedom, in a sense. Not perfect, not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. But if you read the main parts of the Constitution, when you have the right to free speech, the freedom to assemble, and the freedom to religion, and that spoke for all religion. That didn't just speak for Christianity. Christianity allows other religions to exist, and I don't mean by allowing like, oh, I Christianity. If I'm a Christian, I allow you to. It's not. No, Christianity by its value allows other religions to exist. Is it by far? And I'm not here trying to like defend and spearhead for Christianity. I have my beefs with Christianity. I don't myself call myself a Christian at all. I am in fact a follower of Christ, and I know that people will say, well, if you're a follower of Christ, you're a Christian. That's not necessarily true. Not at all. Because there's many doctrines that I do not believe, or I do not think that are in align with Scripture, and that's a whole other conversation as well. The focus of immigration means, from the intent of what America was supposed to be, is that immigration was supposed to happen and supposed to be that way. And there are immigrants. This country's been built by immigrants for the last 400 years, rather. And the indigenous that were already here, like the Native American Indian, that might not even be the right term to use, but the indigenous that were already here, despite the fact of colonialism, by rising above that after all of the wars, after all of the massacres. And I'm not dismissing that as being something like, oh yeah, that didn't mean anything. It meant everything. It meant everything to get to where this country is supposed to be. And now, when it was just about to peak to where the country was supposed to be in the direction that it was going in, you have this parasitic government that was taken over control when the Federal Reserve was implemented, which John F. K. tried to take away, and that's what got him killed. That's part of what got him killed. The Federal Reserve, which was created by the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers. Yeah, Rockefellers, Rothschilds. I always get those two family names mixed up. And basically, the Federal Reserve was to create the banking system apparatus for America to control where the government was going to go. And from that point forward, we lost it. And I believe it was FDR. It was either FDR or Roosevelt. Oh, he was bald. I can't remember his name now. Anyway, the president that we had, he was the one that signed it over. He had a famous speech too, talking about the military industrial complex. If anyone knows that name, what I'm talking about, of who I'm talking about, it's a black and white video. Can't even think of his name. My brain's not working today, but I think it was FDR. Once that was made, once that was implemented, everything else, it just, this is how we started to lose our rights. This is how we started to lose the Second Amendment, all of these other implementations and all this stuff. The CIA became to be a prevalent factor. The FBI also, that all comes from a couple hundred years ago, about 200 years ago. The FBI was created out of Pinkerton, the Pinkertons or something like that. They were like a private security investigative group. And then the U.S. government wanted to get involved because they felt that they were getting too powerful, and they absorbed them. Well, I'm probably butchering that a little bit, but anyway, immigration, ICE. The intent of America was to have people come here to leave their tyrannical countries and their places of poverty and their living, and to come to America so that they can be saved as far as like saved as in like lifestyle, to have an opportunity to be able to strive, to be able to do things for the family. That's always been the intention of America. That's always been at least the value, at least I don't mean from the government perspective, or I mean from like the homegrown rooted American, I guess, patriot, black, white, person of color. That's what it meant. And having immigrants coming over here was like a badge of honor, because like immigrants have built this country. So now we have the reverse of what this looks like. Now America's completely against immigration. And now listen, don't get me wrong. I'm not against immigration by any stretch of the imagination. I think everybody that wants to come here should come here and leave those shit countries. If our country wasn't going to shit, though, I mean, at this point, I'm saying like, don't come here, because there's nowhere else to run. There's nowhere else to go. This country's going down. It's just a matter of time. We're watching the ship sink. But with that said, there are people from other countries that are coming here, and a lot of these people that are coming here are good people, are good families, are children that go missing, by the way. But there are some that are within those droves of people that do come here or have come here who should not be here. And I'm talking about the cartels. I'm talking about the terrorist cell groups, the Chinese military nationals that are here, the Russian military nationals that are here. I'm talking about those people. We don't need those people here. I mean, listen, they're only here for one reason. They're here. First of all, they're paid here. Their visas are paid to be here. Most of them, some of them, the cartels, obviously, they're not. They're able to get in here by, riding under the radar somehow. And that's, by the way, that's all by design. 100% of it's all by design. The government knows the people that are getting in here. They know about the people that are getting in here. Like, there's no way that they don't know. You're telling me that the CIA doesn't know who's in here, the FBI doesn't know who's getting in here. Of course, they can't say anything because they're told not to. And then we do get some of the news stories that do come out where the FBI will say, like, yeah, we have like 2,000 some odd people on the terrorist watch list that have come over through the border. That's not surprising. A lot of us knew that was going to happen. It's just a matter of time of when these things, the apparatus of these terror cells or whatever, are going to be implemented. The rumor is apparently the cartels are putting like $50,000 over ICE agent heads and all that stuff. I mean, whether that's real or not, it could be real. It could not be real. It could just be propaganda that's coming down, from these organizations, from either ICE organization or FBI organization, any of the alphabet agencies, name them. That's just to stir or create this predictive programming in order for someone to actually start doing that. And we have seen it. We actually have seen it just recently. Some guy took a shot at ICE agents, but I think ended up killing or severely injuring so-called migrant. Right? So this whole thing, this whole predictive programming and all this stuff, this whole creating the tension of violence and all that stuff. This is why we're seeing public executions. This is why we're seeing people on a bus getting stabbed. This is why we're seeing police shooting on our black men, on our white men, on anyone. This is why we've seen that in the past. This is why we see police getting shot. This is why we see judges and politicians getting shot. This is why we see attempts on the president getting shot. And I know that's debatable on whether or not that particular thing was real or not. Who knows? It's hard to tell anymore. But I do know that these things are orchestrated. I do know that these things aren't by accident. A lot of them are just the violent rhetoric is so prevalent that it ends up creating someone out there that just says, fuck it, I'm just going to go out there and start, busting at a school or at someone's graduation or at someone's, at some politician's house or whatever like that. And it ends up becoming, a nationwide case or a nationwide thing. I mean, how many times have we been seeing school shootings this year alone? I mean, it's every single year. Every single year, the last probably 10 years at least, probably the last 5. But I would say the last 10, but at least in the last 5 years, it's been every year. Every year there's a school shooting. Every year? You mean to tell me that's not orchestrated? You mean to tell me that's not that's like not intently created? And I'm not saying they're not real. I'm saying that these things are created. These things are orchestrated. These things are intently made like a Manchurian candidate type thing. Every year we have a school shooting. Every year we have some type of police ambushing, like someone ambushing the police and vice versa. Every year we have, at least in the last 3 to 4 years now, every year we've had so-called assassination attempts. One of them being actually a couple of them being, let me take that back. A few of them being actually successful. One of them making an extreme headline. Talking about Charlie Kirk. Now, there's a lot of debate beyond that, whether or not that was an actual real shooting. I do think he died. I don't think Tyler Robinson did it. There's so many onion layers to the fact of how these things are happening, and people really need to follow the money. We need to stop looking at Trump as being this savior person. Okay, because he's not. Neither is the administration. On the surface, it only looks like they're doing good. But in the realization of everything, when we have ICE agents going around and just hemming people up, wearing masks, acting like fucking gang members, and also like the National Guard. Excuse me. Excuse me for swearing too. Like it's just. But then when you have like National Guard showing up, also being masked up, acting like gang members. That's not police. That's not armed forces. And also you're hemming these people up. Some people, and a lot of people say like, well, they don't have the right of due process, but you can't just start hemming up citizens because many of them have been citizens. Many of the migrants have been citizens. And we can't do that. We can't just go around hemming up American citizens, racially profiling them as being, some type of migrant from somewhere, and then hemming them up for like 16 hours inside of a detention center in order to figure out who they are. And but then again, there are people out there that aren't supposed to be here. And what I mean by not supposed to be here, I mean like they didn't go here through the legal They didn't go here through, the legal process, the way to get here. Because many migrants that have come here have done it. Now, I get it. Some migrants that do come here, especially from the southern Latin American countries, can't afford it. They can't afford the process, and I understand that, and I actually empathize to that. A lot of people out there, though, especially in the Trump world, and I got to say it to you conservatives, I don't know what it is, but we got to show a little bit more empathy. We do. You do. You have to show a little bit more empathy, because our government is causing this, as well as the Israeli government, as well as Australia, as well as the UK, the Western governments, China, Russia also. These governments are causing these things to happen, or they're causing this. Now, the cartels are also causing this, but who gives the cartels the drugs? China, the CIA, which is America. So look, we're all going after the symptoms, but we're not going after the root. We're not going after the root of the problem, and that's an issue. That shouldn't happen. Yeah, some people do say that Charlie Kirk's wife has something to do with it. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know anymore when it comes to stuff like that. But it is weird that a lot of Masonic things were shown, like the rings that she was wearing. Very Masonic. I mean, it's incredibly frustrating. Because like the second that you start criticizing Trump or criticizing ICE or criticizing immigration, people are like, oh, the if you're not like speaking in favor of these people, it's like, you're either a racist or you're not a conservative, you're a leftist, or if you're favoring on one side, you're now a leftist and not a conservative, or not a conservative and a left. I mean, listen, I am neither of those things. Don't ever want to be put in a box. I'm not a conservative, and I do have some conservative values, don't get me wrong, but I'm definitely not a leftist. I don't want government involved in anything, like limited. A lot of people would say that's an anarchist. Okay, whatever. I don't like the government being involved in anything. I don't want them bothering me. I don't want them taking taxes from my wages. I don't want them involved in anything. I don't want them telling me telling me how many firearms I can have and what I can have is, I don't want them saying, community guidelines, or even though that doesn't really come from them. Although Facebook has been found out, and so has YouTube and Google has been found out that the government was conspiring with Zuckerberg during COVID, and this is where all these community guidelines, stupid things have came out. That all came out of COVID. So no, I don't want the government involved in anything. Limited. Yes, protect the borders. Yes. We need a certain presence of police apparatus, within our streets. But again, the police also need to be formally retrained to handle the public, and in order to recognize and to be able to communicate with the people in the public when they're dealing with anybody that's under like some type of mental, I don't know, something that has to, some type of mental illness or whatever. They shouldn't be going through an academy and then they, whatever, they do their fitness test and all that stuff, and Some of them aren't even good shots at all, and then they just let them out 6 months onto the street just to start. No, I mean you should be shadowing for at least 2 years in order to be able to handle the public. Because a lot of these officers that get put out there, they're fucking kids. Excuse my language, but they're like in their, what are they, 20? I think you just be 21. You might have to be 25. 25, your frontal lobe just got developed. If that, because probably now that's like the frontal lobe doesn't get developed till you're 30 because of all the high fructose soybean syrup and all the shit that they put in the water. I'm just ranting tonight. I don't know. I've just been very pissed off at why the world is like welcoming their doom, especially America. I mean, the digital ID is so dangerous. I mean, it's just as dangerous as AI. It's going to work with one and the same. It's going to work together. And I know we could say like, oh, this just means that it's that Mashiach is closer to coming, closer to returning. And I get that. I understand that. But a lot of people aren't aware of this. And this is why we have to preach the gospel. This is why we have to alert and sound the alarm when these things are going on. And it isn't the fear monger, by the way. And I probably should start my shows with saying something along the lines like, I'm not trying to, I don't say these things to fear monger. I mean, but I actually want you to be empowered to know these things, to understand where the world is actually heading into. It's not to scare you. In fact, you shouldn't be scared. And especially if you're a follower of Christ, you should be well aware, like, all right, this is the line of persecution. This is the line of, this is where it has to go. And so be it. Defend your families, defend yourselves, defend the right to be able to speak, defend the right to be able to defend yourselves, defend others, defend the weak and the sick, and also to inform other people of these things that have been happening. I mean, digital ID is so dangerous, ladies and gentlemen. It's as dangerous as artificial intelligence. It's going to work side by side. It's integrated. They have facial recognition. They have massive surveillance. America has become a massive surveillance state. It's as I think the only country that beats us is probably I believe it's the United Kingdom. They're a massive surveillance state. And they're about to have digital ID implemented, and their people are going to suffer immensely. And there's going to be some type of social credit score where you can't buy, sell, and all that stuff. Or not buy and sell. Like, you'll be able to buy and sell if you have the digital ID, right? But then you start, acting up. You don't fall in line. You don't follow their orders. Cut them off. Can't buy or sell. That's how they control you. So you either get it and not be able to buy or sell because you're gonna misbehave, or you don't get it and you're not gonna be able to buy or sell. But at least you have your dignity. You might starve to death. You might have to go on their program. You might go homeless. If you have children, it's going to be tough. Believe me, I know. I'm a father. I'm a working man just like you. Blue collar, just like you. I think I'm going to start opening up the lines. If you're just tuning into The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble, make sure you like, share, subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about the digital ID tonight. We could talk about anything, but Bill Gates. I got to bring Bill Gates up. Bill Gates. Bill Gates needs to be in jail underneath it. This guy is in control of like what? I'm just throwing this number out there, but I think it's pretty close. It's like 90% of farmland in America. It's either in America or global. I'm pretty sure it's like 90% of farmland in America. That's actually a lot of. I'm probably giving him too much, but anyway, he had a great idea, or has a great idea, of creating artificial meat, like basically cloned meat, beef, all that. And he's been trying to get it out there. Apparently, rumor has it that I've been seeing that it hasn't been going through, and a lot of people have been a lot of stores have been rejecting it. Thank God. But there's that. He's all about dimming the sun because of so-called climate control, and it's incredible of the it's incredible how much of a fucking parasite he is. Excuse my language, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just F-bombing. I'm trying to be better at not swearing. I don't care that if anyone comes on here and swears. I mean, I would say just try and like not, try and limit it, but I'm not here to regulate people's free speech, whether this is my platform or not that I'm using. I mean, it's all us. I'm just a man. I'm just a guy on a microphone. You know what I'm saying? I'm just talking. Anyway, Bill Gates is a parasite. I mean, not only is he a parasite because he's on the Epstein log, and he's been known to go to Epstein Island. Not only is he a parasite for that, because we know those, and that's another topic too. That just gets, it gets thrown under the rug because of all these other things, and Trump's not doing anything about that, and I think he's complicit. But Bill Gates is a parasite because he's all part of the whole vaccine thing, the depopulation. That's all Bill Gates. Research the guy. If you don't know the guy, he's the owner of Microsoft, former owner of Microsoft. He's worth billions and billions of dollars, and all the guy wants to do is genetically modify mosquitoes to implement so they can inject you with vaccines. Mosquitoes. He wants to he's successfully. Let me back up there. I don't think he's successfully, but I know that he's been having a team of scientists or whatever, gain of function people, which, by the way, isn't that illegal? This is why he does it in other countries. So he does this, and he utilizes vaccines and this whole idea with genetically modifying mosquitoes onto African nations. Bill Gates does that. Bill Gates has done that. Dr. Fauci has done that with HIV. Not the medication that was supposedly keep people alive who had HIV or was supposed to get rid of HIV or something like that. And it was killing African kids. And they can do it in Africa because they don't have any regulation over there. There's not really any policy over there, and I'm sure actually Africa has policies against it. But if you don't have nuclear bombs or an army to defend yourself against an imposing power, you can go over to those countries and do whatever the hell you want because you're Bill Gates, 90, 100, 200 billion dollars worth, whatever, and you can go and modify fucking mosquitoes and have it inject people with vaccines that kill them. He's a parasite. He's not even the only parasite. There's so many parasites, and these people are a part of that one world government bloodline. All of these families. Anyway, I'm going to open up the lines. This is the first time that I'm going to be doing it. First time. I'll do it every time that I have a show, I think. But I actually have a number for people to call in if they want to talk, if they if they have any questions about the topics, and you can bring any topic on, but we could talk about the digital ID, we could talk about Bill Gates, we could talk about Trump Epstein list, we could talk about Charlie Kirk, we could talk about whatever, the Illuminati, and I'll put the number on the screen right now. Give me a second here, and I'll leave it up there for a little bit if anyone wants to call in. Even if you want to prank, even if you want to do that, because I'm sure there's people out there that may want to. Who knows? I'm not inviting it, but if you want to, that's fine. I can roast people too. So, if you want to call in, dial now. So let's see, is that showing up? Yeah, if you want to call in, dial 401-753-9940, and I will put you live on air with me. So I'll just leave that on the screen for you guys. 401-753-9940. Just call it. And this will be the first time, so like if you're trying to call in and it doesn't happen to go through, just I don't know, comment, say something. Because this is the first time trying it out. It's a number specifically that I made for the show, so because I'm not putting my real number out there, that'd be a bad idea. That'd probably be a bad idea if I did that. But yeah, I mean, there's other videos out there too. Let's I wanted to find more on the Bill Gates stuff. Bill Gates mosquitoes. Because I know some people have probably like seen those videos going around. So like, yeah, there's a video back on about 16 years ago. And he was creating he was looking to genetically modify mosquitoes for malaria. So they always use these, and malaria was created. That's another thing. So they always create things and then they come in with a solution. So they're the problem makers and the solution makers, or the solution givers, because it's all about their design of control. Let me see if this video actually goes into it, because I'll put this up on screen. Whoops. I hate his voice. I hate his voice and his face, because it's disgusting what these people do. I mean, this is it's diabolical. I don't know what this video is. We're just going to watch it together. Bring this on screen. Oh yeah, that's why.
For example, there's more money put into baldness drugs than are put into malaria. Now, baldness it's a terrible thing. And rich men are afflicted. And so that's why that priority has been set. But malaria, even the 1 million deaths a year caused by malaria, greatly understate its impact. Over 200 million people at any one time are suffering from it. It means that you can't get the economies in these areas going because it holds things back so much. Now, malaria is, of course, transmitted by mosquitoes. I brought some here so you could experience this. We'll let those roam around the auditorium a little bit. There. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience. Those mosquitoes are not infected.
Wait, what the hell did he just say?
There. There's no reason only poor people should have the experience.
No reason only poor people should have the experience, he says. And that's a video from 16 years ago. I mean, these fucking people are so damn diabolical, I swear. It's disgusting what they do. Like they want to, they this is their, because they feel like they have godlike powers. They feel like they have godlike abilities because money gives them that safety security net, right? Their resources and the finances and all of that they control gives them this false sense of security that they're godlike, that they can it's like, oh, I can modify mosquitoes to just start passing around a malaria vaccine or a potential or any vaccine, and market it as a good thing. And notice that he says, there's no reason that only poor people should experience it. So he obviously targets poor people, right? Malaria affects is mostly a disease that affects in Africa. I do think malaria is here across the globe, but it mainly is something that occurs in Africa, and there's a reason for that. These viruses are almost all the time created. They're not original. They don't just appear in nature necessarily. Bacteria does, but viruses and there's a whole other thing about viruses and what's the other term there? I forgot the damn term. But some people say that there's an argument that viruses aren't necessarily real, that it has something to do with chemicals that they're introducing, and I believe that too. I believe chemicals have a huge influence on how the body responds by being sick, or how ailments come, cancer, all that stuff. I mean, we're breathing in carcinogens when we go outside all the time, especially now more than ever. When I was a kid, that chemtrails didn't seem to be anything of in existence. I don't know if they existed then. They may have, but I remember seeing clouds and blue skies. I remember seeing blue skies and thick, white, fluffy clouds when I was a kid, in the early 90s. I remember seeing blue, I mean like blue skies, like super blue, when the sun was when the sun was like 12 noon at its peak. No cloud, like barely any clouds, or if there were clouds. Here we go. Hello, you are live on The True Perspective. Oh, hold on.
Yeah.
Oh, you're live on The True Perspective. How are you? Who am I speaking with? Can you hear me? Uh-oh.
Call from
Freedom, man.
What the hell was that? Anyway, so yeah, I remember as a kid seeing blue sky, like super blue skies. And then, like I said, fluffy clouds, white clouds. And now when you step outside, you pretty much see a haze. You see a blue sky, but you see like a fairly blanket like haze on it. right? And then sometimes sometimes you see what appears to look like clouds, and they're really not clouds. It's just a thick haze of that something that comes from. Try again, buddy. Try again, John. Maybe I hit something wrong because I picked up and I heard something. Let's see here. Let me see if I can. Let's see this. Let me see if I can do this. Let's see. I'll call you. Okay. Oh, hold on. Here we go. John, can you hear me?
From
Freedom Man.
to accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Oh, okay. 1. Freedom Man.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
What's going on, brother?
I just wanted to test it out for you, but can you hear me?
Yeah, I think I hear you. Do you? I wonder if yeah, I do hear you. I hear you on my end. I'm hoping that it's also coming in on the other end. I'm gonna check right now. Actually, I could check in a second.
It's not coming in through the video. It's not coming in through the Rumble. Like.
Okay, hold on.
Like totally delayed somehow.
Well, I imagine it's gonna be a little bit delayed.
Maybe I should mute. Let me see if I mute.
As long as you're hearing it on the other end, then it should be. I just wanted to make sure that it was coming in through all medias, but I heard it in the background, so I'm satisfied with that. But yeah, if you mute it, it won't be as it won't bounce around.
Yeah, but I don't think that your audience. Well, I don't know. Can your audience hear me? Because we're not in sync. Like there's a big delay.
Is there? That's. I should just.
Yeah, well, I'm watching you on the screen. I just muted the Rumble sound, so I'm watching you on the screen, and your lips are moving like you can tell there's a delay.
Oh well, it's probably going to be like a delay on your end like that, but well, I don't know. First time. First time. I always have to add like a tech thing in here, and I always gotta like challenge myself all the time, and then. But I think this is how it works, doesn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to try it out just to see if we were going to actually be able to make it work. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know if anybody else can hear me or not. I mean, right now I can't hear myself except through the phone because I muted the Rumble.
Give me a second because I can. Hold on. All right, that's definitely not doing what I wanted to do.
No, definitely not. It was a lot more fun with you. Huh? You're gonna have to practice it maybe when we're not in a live show.
Oh yeah, there you go.
I can hear myself delayed.
I just heard you. Yeah. We're live. We're good. I just wanted to make sure like that your voice was coming through. So listen, this is what I do. I just wing it and I let things. I just let things go live. Are you still there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
All right.
It seems like your voice is a little bit more in sync with the video now, but well, sort of.
Try not to pay attention to my mouth. You can because if you can hear me and it's in sync to you, like you can hear me as I'm talking to you. I know it's probably weird that you're trying to follow. I think there's always going to be a delay when it comes to phone to web, unless if I had you like call in like Skype or something like that. I don't know. But the viewership just went up a little bit. That's pretty cool. Thank you all for tuning in.
Well, can they hear me? Can they? All right. So I'm gonna close out of Rumble and go on to Facebook just to see if it makes a difference, because Facebook seemed like it was more. Well, earlier I was switching back and forth to see the difference. Seemed like Facebook was more in sync, like it wasn't so delayed. But I'm wondering if anybody in the audience can actually hear me right now. Right now, I'm not watching the video at all.
All right. Anyone that's listening right now, if you can give a thumbs up in the comments section, whether you're on X or Rumble or Facebook or YouTube or anywhere viewing this, just give like a thumbs up. That'd be very helpful.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to say was that I believe. Well, now I'm hearing myself coming back.
Yeah.
But
because I went on the Rumble to make sure. So yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone can hear you and I.
All right. So malaria is actually, I believe malaria is actually a parasite that lives inside the mosquito and then gets transferred into your body through the mosquito.
Got it.
So it's funny you're calling him a parasite and he's talking about parasites.
I know. Yeah. Yeah.
But what's really weird is earlier today I was on the internet and I saw an advertisement for ivermectin, which is actually a parasite control medication.
Yep.
So maybe we all need to get that. I don't know.
Well, that I remember like during COVID, they were trying to like take it off the shelves because people were going out and getting it because they were using that to actually fight COVID rather than go and get the vaccine that they were giving out later on during the peak of COVID, but also people were being told like, hey, this is how you're going to survive this thing if you take it, even if those people who had comorbidities, and if they were to take it, there probably would have been a lot more people who survived that had they known and had taken something like ivermectin, and there's some other stuff out there too, but I think ivermectin was one of the big things. But people like CNN were saying that ivermectin was like a horse dewormer or something like that, and it is.
Yeah.
But there's also it's basically it could be for animals, but it's for humans. There's a human version for it, so it's interesting that
there was a lot of people were like making it sound like anybody who talked about ivermectin was some kind of a conspiracy theorist. I was even accused of that myself. Like I was like, talking about ivermectin. It's like, oh yeah, you really want to take some kind of horse dewormer? I'm like, yeah, well, if a horse has worms, which are parasites, and ivermectin kills them, they know for a fact that viruses and certain parasites, because of the exoskeleton, people don't really study science very much, but viruses have sort of an exterior shell with DNA inside or RNA, and it transfers that disease into your body by attaching that shell to a cell, and then the strand of RNA that's inside the virus goes into the cell, and that's how it infects your body. But that cell is made of like a hard protein, almost like it's like an exoskeleton, which is similar to certain types of parasites that have an exoskeleton. So the ivermectin, I believe, actually causes that exterior shell to break down, so that the strand of RNA doesn't have a chance to get into your cells, and that's how they were using it to stop the COVID-19 virus.
Right.
But I mean, these are all theories, because again, you have people say, well, there's really no such thing as viruses. Nobody can really prove that there's any such thing as viruses.
Right.
And it's just people are whack.
I know there's what is it called? It's called virus versus damn. like, oh man, it's not like local or something like that. I can't remember. I've heard people talk about it. In fact, I think I know someone that knows a little bit more about it than me, but it has something to do with like bacteria is real, viruses aren't.
Well, again,
Something like
a
that.
lot of
I
it
don't know.
is, is it fake science? I mean, there's so much stuff that we're being told that it's really almost impossible to tell what really causes disease. Now, there were two systems of thought back, in the 1800s, maybe it was even further back than that, where people, were taking a more of a holistic approach, like a natural approach to health.
Yeah.
And then somebody came along and said, "Oh no, you need to have all these drugs, and you need to have all these, vaccines." And of course, they were like the founding fathers of the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
And that took off because we're follow the money. If they can make money off of it, they want to keep you sick so that they can make money. So I mean, like Centers for Disease Control, why isn't it Centers for Disease Eradication? I mean, they just want to control the diseases so that they can control the population. And I've said that plenty of times in the past, and people kind of think I'm maybe a little weird for saying that. Like, why would the government? Yeah, why would the government?
Yeah.
I mean, the government's behind all the real conspiracies.
Famous last words someone has ever said. Why would the government? Why would the government?
Yeah, why would the government do that? So I guess we got the phone thing working as long as whoever's on the phone isn't really watching it online. Like I can hear you fine and you can hear me fine right now, right?
Well, yeah, I can hear you fine. I think because if you're listening, so if someone calls in and they're listening to the show at the same time, they would probably have to mute the show.
Yeah.
While they're on the phone.
Yeah, because
it's just going to be feedback.
There's definitely a delay, and so you're trying to watch. Like I'm looking at you, like when I was looking at you on the screen, your lips weren't moving, like you were out of sync. So it's like hard to because most people don't even realize it, but when you're looking at someone who's speaking, you're almost automatically reading their lips at the same time.
Right.
And it becomes a little bit disturbing when the lips get out of sync. So a person could definitely call in and be able to talk on the show over their phone as long as they just kind of like turn away from the computer and mute it or whatever, which is what I've done.
I could see how that.
There was something else I wanted to mention, but now I can't see the screen, so I can't remember what it was. We were talking about earlier. Yeah, we were talking about, or somebody.
Germ theory. Thank you, Megan, for that. Shout out to Megan for that.
Yeah, well, that's the
germ theory.
Yes, that's part of it. Yeah, the germ theory. Yeah.
Sorry, terrain theory. Yeah, germ theory versus terrain theory. Thank you, Megan. Appreciate you. Thank you.
See, there are some smart people in the world, huh?
Yeah, of course. My bad. I didn't mean to cut you off because that was bothering me. I was trying to freaking remember what that was.
No. I'm glad she jumped in there and cleared that up. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you said you wanted.
Well, I mean,
you said you wanted to mention something else. Hold on, I'm going back. I'm trying to go back in the.
There was something else I was thinking about mentioning in the chat, and it wasn't Bill Gates. It was something. The families. All right. So when we were talking about the European Union and the 10 horns and the crowns and all that, my dad, when I was younger, I remember my dad had a theory about who the horns and the crowns and all that was, and it was a way that you could kind of see how the royal families would rise up against each other, and there was also the thing about the head that was wounded, and I believe, I can't remember now exactly which one of the royal family. One of them got a serious head wound and was thought that they weren't going to make it, and then miraculously survived. But that chapter you read from Revelation has been people have been trying to figure out exactly who those all are.
You're right.
And
Yeah,
there's
the
been
10
some pretty
horns.
good theories. 7 heads, 10 horns.
Yep.
Something
Well,
like
I think. Well, so the horns represent kings or kingdoms,
right.
I believe.
Well, right, the kingdoms and then the crowns.
Yep.
There's so much good stuff right there in that chapter.
Yeah, there's a lot in there. And another thing too. Well, I probably vaguely skimmed through this or something like that, probably on the online world and like Instagram or X or I don't know, somewhere. And someone was saying, I'm not saying I believe this, but I'm just saying someone was saying was that the attempted assassination on Trump represent
Well, see, that's another
when he got struck in the ear is like a representation because maybe a representation of him being hit in the head. I mean, I'm sorry, hit in the ear or in the head area. I guess we could say the ear is the head area.
Well, it's a head wound.
Right.
Kind of, yeah.
And then he falls and then gets back up, and that's kind of like the representation of this. It's possible, given the fact that there's a lot of fabrication, I think, because I do think there's some type of, oh man, prophecy is so deep because they could probably manufacture off of prophecy, but that's actually them. That's actually prophecy playing out. Does that make sense?
Yeah, there used to be people talked about self-fulfilling prophecy, but this is actually prophecy. I think the New World Order, Illuminati, there's a couple of things I wanted to mention too. I wanted to correct myself from the last time I was on the show. I talked about the Illuminati and Rhode Island declaring independence on July 1st of 1776. It was actually May 1st of 1776. When both of those things happened. And I after the show, I was listening to it back. I was like, I picked the wrong date. Anyway, just correcting myself. But I believe that they definitely are trying to act all of this out. I mean, just look at the coincidence of what's actually going on in the world. Like, there's too many coincidences. Is it actual prophecy being played out, or is it this, some sort of secret society, actors guild, making it happen? We know Hollywood's involved somehow. They've been involved with predicting things for a long time. But the whole thing with Great Britain really upsets me because when you're talking about this real ID, I mean, the, what's it called?
Digital ID?
Not real ID. The digital ID. Well, over here, when I went to get my driver's license, which I'm still in the process of, by the way, they offer you in Massachusetts, they offer you the real ID versus a regular driver's license. But if you have a regular driver's license, you still need to have the passport. But if you don't want to have a driver's license and a passport, you can just get a real ID, same price, so essentially you could say almost like free, not necessarily mandatory yet. But when that guy said that we're going to give you a free ID, but it's going to be mandatory. To me, that's like them saying, if you don't take this mandatory ID, then you can't work here in Great Britain. Now, is it Great Britain or is it the United Kingdom? Because, again, United Kingdom goes all the way around the entire globe. Well, and there's people who want to say that there's no globe either. I just had that argument.
Right. That's a good point.
But if Massachusetts doesn't give me a driver's license, could they turn around and say, oh, and by the way, you can't go to work? No, I mean, how are you going to get to work?
Right.
What do you do when you don't have a driver's license?
Exactly. What are you doing when you don't have a digital ID? I can't scan you. What? You mean you can't?
I mean, and like, for instance, when we worked for two jobs that I've had in the past 3 years, or 3 or 4 years now, required that I had a driver's license in order to do the job. When we worked for Sunrun, we were driving all over New England, New York. You remember how many thousands of miles did we drive?
Oh, yeah. Thousands.
And I had a DOT background check and a drug screening in order to be able to get that job.
Mm-hmm.
If my driver's license was suspended at the time, I wouldn't have been able to take that job. And yet Massachusetts is telling me that my driver's license has been suspended for 30 years. You want to figure that one out?
That's wild. That's just, I don't understand that.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't want to come on and dominate the show like I usually do. I want to give someone else a chance to call in. But I'm just saying, if there's anybody out there that knows of a good, and I hate lawyers, but I hate the courts, I hate everything to do with government. But if anybody knows a really good lawyer and that can work in the state of Massachusetts, I'm getting ready to, file some sort of a lawsuit against the registry, because, it's just ridiculous what they're trying to do to me. And I mean, I don't even know what to do. I'm about ready to go to the Veterans Administration and say, listen, do they have some kind of legal services for veterans to help me get this straightened out? Because I need to figure this out. But if anybody knows or has any kind of a clue, throw it to the chat or whatever.
The only person that comes to mind is Two Hawks when I gave you
Ray. Yeah, I know you mentioned Ray, but can he work in Massachusetts court?
I don't know. I'm not. I'll hit him up. Or do you?
Because I think the last time I had had an issue with Massachusetts some years ago, and I believe I did make contact with him. I think you might remember the whole child support thing from years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he said he couldn't work in Mass, unless he may have changed that by now. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not 100% on.
I don't know if you still have contact with him. See if he's able to help.
After the show, I'll send him a message. I'll let him know. Magan said,
but if there's anybody in the great state of Massachusetts who has an idea of anyone that's actually like decent, trustworthy, friendly, kind of a lawyer type person or some sort of legal aid, I have questions. There's things that I need to do, obviously.
Yeah. I don't understand why that just comes up randomly like that. And there, also, I asked you too, there's no statute of limitations.
Well, see, this is the thing. If you take a look at law, real law.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, we are guaranteed by the Constitution a right to trial by jury. I've never had a hearing. I've never been in front of a judge. I've never been in front of a jury. I've never even been in a courtroom for any of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's illegal. Okay. But then let's go back and talk about this thing. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of a thing called ex post facto.
What is it?
Where they can't go and create a law after the fact. In other words, you do something and they say, you broke the law. And you say, no, I didn't break the law. There's no law. So then they're like, oh, okay, we're going to make a law. So then they make a law after the fact. They can't hold you for that law that they created after the fact. So if I lost my driver's license in Vermont 30 years ago and I got it reinstated, and then I come to Rhode Island and I get a Rhode Island driver's license that I drive around for 20 years, and then I go down to Florida and I get a driver's license and I drive around for another 8 years, and then I decide I'm going to go, because now I moved to Massachusetts, I'm going to trade my Florida driver's license in for a Massachusetts driver's license, and they're like, nope, you're suspended. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's impossible. Well, we created a new law, and now you have to have they tell me you need to have an interlock in my vehicle. Did I tell you that part yet?
Yeah, I think so.
An interlock in my vehicle.
You didn't say it now, but I don't. Yeah, I don't. What is that again?
No,
what is
it's like they're calling it an interlock. I guess it's basically you get in your car, you blow a breathalyzer in your car, and then the car will start.
From 30 years ago?
Right, for something that happened 30 years ago, they're telling me now that I need to have this installed in my car.
Jeez.
I've never even heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
Everybody I've talked to is like, what do you mean? What's that? That's apparently some new thing they got. Obviously, it's new technology. It didn't exist 30 years ago.
I've heard of that being a thing for some people. Like, yeah, they have to hook. I don't know. It hooks up to the whatever, the starter or something like that. But you have to blow it.
Something in the ignition system.
And that gives you the okay on, that you can turn the car on. But the fact that they want to make you do that after 30 years,
It's
that doesn't
I'm
make
just
sense.
not going with
It
it.
doesn't make sense.
No, see, and if I say, okay, all right, I'll give you the $700 to put this device in my car,
Right.
that's like saying, like, screw everybody else. Nobody's ever going to have a right to even defend themselves in a court. Don't even give me a court. Don't give me a hearing. What their hearing was, this lady calls me up and says, okay, we need to make an appointment for you to get your interlock. I'm like, that's not a hearing.
Right.
You didn't hear nothing. I'm going to tell you my story. So I told her the story. Well, sorry, there's nothing I can do if you want to appeal it. So now I got to appeal it. So that's why I need to get legal advice. That's the reason why I need to find a lawyer that can actually give me some advice. So I want to make a proper appeal, and I want my day in court.
Right.
Like, I went to court in Vermont. I had to stand in front of a judge back then.
That's definitely something from 30 years ago. I don't understand why that would be showing up all of a sudden on you.
No, it's because they made a new thing and they want to profit off of it, like everything else the government does. Like I said, and if I say, all right, I'll give you the $700, that means every other person that comes after me is going to be like, what do you mean? Is there any precedent in this? Yeah, there's precedent. John Miner did it. Oh, I just said my name out loud. I don't really care.
Right.
Freedom Man did. Freedom Man got an interlock, so everybody should get an interlock.
Well, do it live. Fuck it.
Sorry. That was Bill O'Reilly. Sorry.
Oh my God.
Well, do it live.
Sorry. All right. No, yeah.
You make a sound effect?
Yeah, I got a sound. I never use, and like I should use it because I've made some pretty good ones.
Whimpering and crying and screaming all the way.
Sorry. I don't know. That was random. I'm sorry. I just pressed that one. That's but this whole thing, like, dude, when you told me about that, I was like, yeah, because you and I, they would have had to have done a federal background check, and that would have had to have come up. It would have had
Absolutely. We had federal background checks for that job. Yeah. And I had another job, which was a similar type thing where I had to drive a company vehicle. Anytime you drive a company vehicle, you have to pass a Department of Transportation, it's a federal Department of Transportation background check and drug screening.
Yeah.
And we did it. I've done it twice in the past, I don't know, 4 or 5 years maybe.
By the way, people
when did we have that
people are going to make a snippet of that little audio about being federally background checked. They're going to think that we're involved with the feds. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. But hey, go ahead, make the clips. I appreciate it.
No, but I mean, the thing is that
press is good
the government is so two-faced. On one hand, they're telling me that my record's clean. All right, I got the job. Worked at the job, no problem, no requirement for any kind of interlock. My license is not suspended. If my license was suspended, they would have said right away, "Oh no, Mr. Minor, sorry, but you can't have the job because your license is. You can't be driving around in a company vehicle with a suspended license."
Right. Yeah, dude, that's just I don't understand that, man. I mean,
that's the corruption in the state of Massachusetts, is what that is.
Well, that's
and I'm calling them out on it.
So. That's coming from Mass, right? That's where it's coming from.
Yeah, Massachusetts. Yeah, Department of Motor Vehicles.
Wow, man.
Or Registry of Motor Vehicles, I guess they call it RMV.
That's so funny, man, because at the time we were working out of Massachusetts.
Yeah, Sunrun, the company we work for, is located in Taunton, Massachusetts?
I think at the time it was located in Taunton. Yeah.
Well, that's where we were going to the headquarters.
Yeah, I mean, we don't work for there anymore, but yeah, that's where it was out of.
Yeah, so a Massachusetts corporation does a federal background check, and it all comes back clear. And they gave us we have transcripts of that. I have 2 transcripts now because there was another company I worked for who had to do the same thing.
Do you happen to have the background check that they did at that time for you during that job? Oh,
yeah. I saved it.
All right, good. You good?
Yeah.
Because that's
what I say. I want my day in court.
Yeah.
Because when I walk in there with all this paperwork and say, look, when was my license suspended? Because I've got no record of that.
Yeah, that'd be very good to bring up, because bringing something up 30 years ago, there has to be a statute of limitations. There has to be. I mean,
I would think so.
I mean, for something like that, like, you don't have to say it on air, but I don't think what was it? Just it was an infraction of a DUI that had something to do or something along those lines, right? Was that what
No,
that
I
was?
had, all right, so when I lived in Vermont,
Yep.
after I got divorced, I moved up to Vermont. And I was going through some pretty bad times, depression and whatnot. And I got 2 OUIs in a couple of years. There was a period of, like, I don't know, maybe, I don't even know if they were a year apart. But because I got 2, they're saying that if you have 2 on your record, Massachusetts requires you to have this device put in your car.
Wow.
Now, I went to court for those. I'm going to tell you right out loud. I went to rehabilitation. I went to counseling, private counseling. I did at least 1,000 AA meetings, and I am not exaggerating that. I did at least 1,000 AA meetings. Okay, because I wanted to make sure I wasn't going to have 3 strikes, you're out. Because that's what they said back then. Oh, you get another one, 3 strikes, you're out. You'll never have a driver's license again for the rest of your life. That's what they told me back then. Now they changed their tune. Oh no, now if you get 2 of these things, you have to have this electronic device put in your car. And you have to pay $700 to have it installed. Wow. This is the new rule.
Yeah, dude.
So for any of you people out there to listen, if anybody's paying attention, I mean, by all means, let's be careful. But drinking and driving is not a good thing. And but for it to come back on me now 30 years later, that's just a little extreme.
That's, yeah. And it was a law made after the fact too.
I mean,
Apparently.
Did they have such an electronic device 30 years ago like that? I never heard of anything back then. I know they.
I don't think so. I don't think.
Well, if they did, why are they only just telling me about it now?
Right.
Why'd they wait 30 years to tell me about it? Like I said, after federal background checks, multiple federal background checks. Not only that, but I had a Rhode Island driver's license for like 20 years in the interim. And I had a Florida driver's license for 8 years now since those infractions. And those infractions, by the way, were in Vermont, not Massachusetts. So there's a jurisdictional issue here too, I believe.
Right.
So, I mean, like I said, I need legal help and I gotta get that fixed. But yeah, I didn't want to come on and dominate the show, take it all away. But
I mean, this is.
I just needed to vent, I guess.
Dude, that's. I hate that that's happening. I really do.
It's the government, though. This is the world. Okay, so but see, it goes along with the whole digital ID thing because they're basically telling me, "Hey, we don't like you anymore, so we're setting you off."
Megan, the breathalyzer machine was used since the 30s for the cars. Since 1930s.
I don't know. I never heard of it.
I've never heard. Yeah, I don't know if that's accurate.
Well,
I don't even know if that was.
Was there a law though?
Hold on.
Was there a law that said?
Was there a law? Right. Okay, hold on.
Was there a law that required it?
When was the law made required to implement? Probably putting too many words here. Implement. What is it? Breathalyzer.
They call it an interlock.
What is it? Interlock. Implement
Yeah, that's what they're calling it.
Lock in vehicle. Let's see what freaking AI says. Hate it. I don't want to read that. Hold on. State ignition. Okay. Here we go. Well, this is National Conference of State Legislators. So www.ncsl.org. I don't think that's an official website for the government. So I'm not looking up. It just says, yeah, Massachusetts. It's naming Mass. Okay, in December 2013. Hold on, I'll put it up on the. Give me a second here. Here we go. All right, I'm gonna bring that up on screen. It says In December 2013, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's released model guidelines for states encouraging them to adopt ignition interlock for first-time convicted drunk drivers and establish a minimum length of time in which offenders must use the interlocks. The report also contains guidelines for program administration and for vendors and service providers.
2013, huh?
20. It says, yeah, that's when it started, 2013. And I'm trying to find Massachusetts. Hold on a second, because where are you? Wait, what? Hold on a second. All offender says no. I don't know what that means. And then statute. I'm going off of the .org. I'm not going off an official government website, so take this with a grain of salt. But it says statute. I'm not sure what that says. 90. I'm not sure what that means. But it says in the language right here, I'm gonna look up Mass in a second, but I'll just read this. Offenders with more than one drunk driving conviction are required to install an ignition interlock device on their vehicle for a period of 2 years as a condition of having their license reinstated. So let's look up Mass, because this is not going to be specific at all right now. Let's go back.
Even so, if they didn't start doing it till 2013, that's way after the fact.
Yeah. When did Mass start interlock device law for cars? Oops, I spelled cars wrong. Okay, so this is mass.gov ignition interlock device program. It says in 2005, quote, Melanie's Law came into effect, which increased the penalties for operating a motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or controlled substances. It also established the interlock ignition device program, which requires multiple OUI offenders to install an interlock device for a prescribed period of time. So that says 2005. I don't know. CDL, mass warrant for text. I don't know what that means. Wait a minute. On October 28, 2005, Commonwealth of Mass passed legislation known as Melanie's Law. Can you see this on the screen? Yeah. Okay, good.
I'm not looking at the screen.
No, you're good. I'm just making sure everyone else can. Increased penalties for operating motor vehicle under the influence of alcohol or controlled substances. This change, okay, hold on, let's not read that. Mass Gen Law, define the rules, regulations, further as a result of Chapter 227 of the Acts of 2020, Section 35-36, effective July 1st, 2021, certain OUI first offenders seeking a hardship license will be required to have an IID installed into a vehicle as a condition of that hardship. So that's way, way after the fact.
No, yeah, my infraction was back in the 90s, long before, 30 plus years ago.
Yeah, this is way after the fact, dude. So how the hell are they giving you something that's way after the fact? Isn't that
yeah, post facto is what it's called.
What's that called? Yeah. What's it called?
That's why I want to get a lawyer. This seems like a shut and dry case, but the woman that I talked to over the phone obviously doesn't know the law.
Accessory, yeah, you said it.
Which is commonplace. They just don't know the law.
Yeah.
But it all stems back to the whole thing you're talking about with the digital ID. They can shut you off.
Oh yeah.
Once you comply with that, hey, we can shut you off now.
They can shut you off, or they can turn things on, like.
Or whatever. Yeah, make it to where you can't function in your life.
Yeah,
can't earn a living.
Regular breathalyzers were probably that sounds like it been in the 30s. Sorry, I should have been more specific, but I thought I was. Sorry, Megan. Dude, yeah, that's someone in there that doesn't know what the hell they're talking about, and they're like, "Oh, this guy, you had this on there, and we're just going to throw this on there." So yeah, one, it sounds like a money grab. Two, actually, it all sounds like a money grab. and control, obviously.
Hey, I agree that drinking and driving is bad. That's the reason why I put myself through all that counseling.
Right.
And I literally turned myself into a rehabilitation place because I was having some serious issues. Like I said, I was going through a real depressing time in my life, and I knew I needed help. So I reached out and I got the help that I needed. But for them to now drag me back 30 years in my life and make me go through all this bullshit again.
Right.
Excuse my language, but I mean, this is more upsetting than.
No, I think.
I just
listen. I think. First of all, it's after the fact. They can't just implement that after the fact. You've already paid your dues.
Yeah, like I mean, I put myself through the ringer to get straightened out. And I admitted that I had issues. That's why I went in. I literally went into a rehabilitation center up in Vermont.
Here's the thing. Now, but you shouldn't even have to replead your case. You've okay, all right, or whatever. You messed up 30 years ago. What were you? Who cares? Like you did what you did. A lot of people do this, right? Or whatever, do shit, and then they pay their dues and they go on about their lives. But they're gonna recharge you basically for.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Where's the due process of the law here? You're not allowed. They can't charge you for something you've already been charged, and you've already paid the fines. You've already paid the. I went to the court. I did what they wanted me to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
I went beyond that because they wanted me to go to counseling. I put myself in rehab. They wanted me to go. The counselor says, well, we need you to go to at least 5 AA meetings, just so it looks like you make it. I went to 1,000 AA meetings because I wanted to make sure it took. Dude, I can't even tell you.
Yeah, this has to get thrown out. It just has to. A judge, I mean,
because
and you literally have to, like, if you went by yourself without attorney with you or something like that, you literally you're at the mercy of the judge being, trusting that the judge makes a correct judgment.
Yeah.
By the law, basically, you're at the mercy
That's
of
what
the
I'm
judge.
saying.
You know what I mean?
That's why I need some legal assistance on this one.
And like already that's coming out of fucking pocket. Jesus, man. Like what the hell?
Yeah. This is the world we live in. When you started talking about digital ID earlier tonight, I was like, yeah, okay, this is, where it leads. Sooner or later, they want to stick their nose everywhere that it doesn't belong in your life.
Yep.
Now, I understand when, hey, you know what? If I went out tonight, got drunk and drove and got pulled over, then I would deserve all of that.
Right.
Because I know. Because now I know. It's not like I was ignorant, right?
Yeah.
But and the thing is they don't even publicize this. How many people? Everyone that I've talked to is like, "What? What's that? What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
So if they're going to do this to people, they need to advertise it. Listen, we made a new law. Now I don't know. Maybe they did when it came out in 2005 or whenever the hell they actually implemented the law. Maybe they did talk about it back then.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember hearing about it.
Yeah, but
that's why I'm saying something about it.
It's still irrelevant to you only because you've already paid your dues. Like,
long, yeah. I've already been down through that path a long time ago, and I'm not a child anymore. I mean, I was in my 30s back then, and I'm not saying anything about 30 years old, but you just said earlier, you've barely developed your frontal lobe by the time you hit 30. So,
right.
With all the pollution they put on us since then, it's a wonder anybody can even develop a normal functioning brain. But I have.
I think I'm pretty sure that's why we have the problems that we have today, among many other things. And shout out to Mag, she said that this is why we can't let them centralize everything, and they're like right there on the cusp of doing that. Especially, so if the UK goes through with it, and it's a big possibility that they're going to go through with it. I mean, look, they have their guns taken away. They almost all the time when they have these arbitrary tyrannical type laws that come up over in the UK or in Canada or in Australia,
well, they're going to pass it.
They almost all the time pass them. Almost all.
Well, look
at
what they did in Rhode Island.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when they implemented the seatbelt law in Rhode Island?
Oh yeah, that was a big thing. Yeah, and AAA, by the way, had a lot of money behind that. Did you know that? You still there? Uh-oh. Hold on. Sorry. Something happened. Hold on, buddy. You still there? Freedom Man, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, good. No, yeah, it just I don't know. It just bumped you off of the Bluetooth on the soundboard. Sorry. You were saying?
Oh.
Yeah, the seatbelt thing. Oh yeah.
Do you remember when they first implemented the law, the seatbelt law in Rhode Island? Rhode Island was one of the last states to not have mandatory seatbelts. Then they said, all right, we're going to try it out for 6 months or something like that, and then we're going to sunset it. That was their term. We're going to say, we'll try it for 6 months, and if it doesn't go over big, then we'll just let it sunset.
Yeah.
We'll let the sun set on that ruling. Well, let me tell you, they never had any intention to sunset it. They were just using that to pull the wool over people's eyes. And of course, Rhode Island now has the seatbelt law like most other states. But when you cross over the border into New Hampshire, I don't know if you realize this. If you're 18 years old, you can take your seatbelt off. Do you know that?
Yeah. New Hampshire, yeah, you can take your seatbelt right off, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, because you're an adult. You can make your own decisions at that point because you got a brain.
It's and AAA, the famous towing company that we all know, was behind that financially. Like a big part of that being behind that financially. I don't know if anyone knew that.
Forcing people to wear seatbelts?
Yeah. Yep. Shout out to Dylan. Thank you for tuning in. Yeah, Dylan just said that he remembers cops doing seatbelt checks at crosswalks in Rhode Island and stuff like that. Yeah. Yep. And
I got pulled over. Yeah, I got pulled over. I had to go to court for it.
I remember it being a secondary offense. So like if you got pulled over, whatever, for speeding or whatever, your lights were out or something like that, they would be added on. And then it became a first offense. So if they somehow spotted you, which by the way, I mean, how do you spot somebody with their? I mean, I guess you can, but
dude, they park on the side of the highway with a telescopic camera, and take pictures of you.
Are you kidding?
It happened to me.
That's crazy. Wow.
No, I am not. Wow. Yeah, they'll zoom right in on you, and if they don't see that strap over your shoulder, they'll take a picture of it and pull you over.
Damn, they've got all the.
I've seen them standing on the side of the road. In Providence, one day I saw a cop standing on the side of the road with this high-power zoom camera device, and I'm sure he was, and that probably checks your speed at the same time.
Probably. They've got all the tyranny toys. They've got all of the tyranny toys.
Yeah, it's insane.
Tyranny toys, and they want to take away our anti-tyranny toys.
Well, our ability to defend our rights. Yeah.
Yeah. They want to
They
want to take away our anti-tyranny toys, so they can keep playing and have more tyranny toys.
Yep.
Brother, it's incredibly frustrating, especially when I know that I have friends that have been like you. This isn't the first time you've been messed with either.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Like
they mess with me so every chance they get. I mean,
that's another thing. Just give a little bit of a brief synopsis of that too. Like this isn't just the only thing that you've been. This isn't the first time you've been bothered. This isn't the first time the systems have been messing with you. There's been other cases.
I mean,
you don't have to go into it if you don't want to. I mean, whatever. But
I'll give you a brief rundown. So it was the seatbelt law.
Yeah.
And then while I was appealing that, they came out to my house with guns and pointed them at me.
Yep.
And arrested me because I had a gun, but in my own yard.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, they told me that my license was suspended for child support, which was false. And I proved that to the court. I had to go to court. I had to go into the court, request a hearing with a judge in the family court in Providence, prove to them that my case was closed. Massachusetts just never corrected it in their computer system. And I never even had child support in Massachusetts, by the way. It was Rhode Island. Once Massachusetts puts you into their computer system, you can't get out. It's like you're already just in computer jail. had to prove to them that my license wasn't suspended. And this is all trust me, all this is in just the past like decade or so. And then now this. And it's like, why are they it's like once you get your name in the system for one little thing, they will just keep hammering you and hammering you and hammering you.
Yeah.
To make your life a living hell. Misery. Everything I try to do, no matter how good I try to be as a person, it's like they just want to keep trying to destroy me. I became an ordained minister back in 2015.
Remember that?
Because I wanted to like help people.
Yeah.
Dude, I can't even speak right now. And you just get continually beaten down. And I swear to God, I honestly believe that it's demonic. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like there has to be some sort of demonic force out there that says, "Oh, this guy's trying to talk about God's word. He's trying to be a good guy."
Well, dude, I mean, the you start talking about God, you start being godly, you try to live godly, you try to speak the truth. Nothing but the demonic wants to come and destroy
how
you.
How long have you and I met? Basically trying to be like, and I'm saying activist, but in a good way, for truth, for freedom. That's why I picked up the name Freedom Man like 15 years ago. Because I wanted people to really understand that we do have a Bill of Rights and that there's laws in this country to protect our rights. And it all stems from God. Our rights are guaranteed to us by God, not the Constitution, not any state. And when you start to speak out in any kind of public forum, it seems like they want to take you out. They don't want people to hear the truth. That's why you have to be even more careful now. Because of what they're doing in the world right now. I mean, just this podcast, they could just eliminate us.
Yeah.
We have to really be careful what we say and how we say it. And I mean, you can't be offensive to anyone anymore. If you're the slightest bit offensive to anyone, I could just file a report and say, this guy was the latest thing. Oh, he said something bad about Israel.
Well, dude,
you end up in jail.
There's a group right now in Rhode Island, and there's a group in Rhode Island. I don't know if I want to say their name. I don't know if I want to mention their group.
Probably shouldn't, but
well, Dan Badandi, right?
Yeah.
Okay. He runs he does a podcast too. He does the Truth Radio show.
I know.
So
yeah, I've watched his podcast a few times.
I don't know. Should I pull this up? Should I pull it up? I'm thinking right now. I'm because I don't know if I want to give anybody the limelight like that. But what I'll say is that there's a group in Rhode Island right now that put him and other groups too. I don't know. I mean, there's other groups, but
yes, I heard about that.
I think I shared it. I shared it on my Facebook. So anyone that has me on Facebook, look at my Facebook. I believe I shared it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know I heard it from somewhere.
So,
or it might have been Dan. I was watching Dan's podcast just a few days ago.
He might have mentioned. He might have mentioned it. Yeah, he might have mentioned it. They basically what they did was the label is that they're mentioning like these so-called terrorist groups or whatever like that. And the Dan Badani show, Truth Radio show, was mentioning that, and I'm like, what are you doing? And I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't comment that yet. But I'm like, but I laughed at it because it's like, this is ridiculous. This guy, all he does is preach the gospel, or he goes very in depth of other stuff that you and I talk about. So we literally, like most of us talk about pretty much, I wouldn't say the same thing, but the same, the same aura of stuff that that needs to be talked about. His main, he discusses a lot of the in-depth mysticism of other occults and stuff like that, but he goes into other stuff. He's had me on his show not too long ago. I gotta have him on too. But the fact that there's what you were just saying, which like, brother, I mean, and I feel you too, man, because I hate this when I hear this, especially about good people, good men like you, good friends that I know. Especially you're someone that I've known at least 15 years, at least, maybe I think more than that now. And you were you are and have been one of the smartest people that I've ever known, that have brought me up to speed on a lot of things. The stuff that I thought I knew about the Constitution, I ended up actually knowing through you, and then reading, and then being more informed. And I think you planted a lot of seeds in me, as far as, and others too. There's others out there that you've done that too. But for me anyway, that resonated with me. So when I hear stupid shit like this, where they're messing with you, and they're messing with good people like you, yeah, man, it bothers me, man. And this is, we could say these podcasts are dangerous, and speak the truth is dangerous. I mean, obviously it looks like it's dangerous. It looks like it looks like it's going to get more dangerous the more and more we speak the truth. It was dangerous then, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Now it's like the fire is going to be at our feet, and it's going to be, right at our doorsteps, and sometimes in our,
it's the truth, and it's I mean, when back in the early church, look how much persecution there was, just because if you were Christian, you could get burned at a stake. I mean, they were rounding up people. I heard this thing, which is really sick. I don't even know if I should repeat it because it's horrible, but I think it was Nero, one of the Roman emperors, used to light up the Colosseum with burning bodies of Christians. Did you ever hear that?
I haven't. I would not be surprised, but I have not.
Like street lights. They had posts up all around the top of the Colosseum, and they would tie people to these posts and light them on fire so they could have night games.
That's crazy. That's wild.
That's just because of your belief.
Yeah.
I mean, man, I just don't even know. This world is just so far. And where are we going with the way things are now in the world? Well, and I wanted to talk more about that Abraham Accord, because I haven't really gotten to study that in great depth, but I've heard some things, and I think we need to have a whole show about that. I don't know.
I'd like to.
Still a little.
I'd like to do a show about that. There's still more topics you and I got to get into when I have you back on here, and we should do that, because the Abraham Accords is it seems to be, I mean, everything you said you don't know where this world's going to, but then when we go into scripture, and I really feel like everything just points right back to scripture, from Genesis all the way to Revelations. And I used to say that things are science fiction. We're living in science fiction. I'm also saying that we are living in at least some of Revelations, if not in the middle of it, or somewhere in the tail beginning of it.
Well, if you go by Daniel's prophecy, you have to understand that we're in the final week. And how long is a week? Is it 7 years? Is it 70 years? I don't know. Maybe,
right.
Israel supposedly has been around for 70 years now, right?
Yeah.
Close to it, or somewhere in there. Maybe, how do we know? Maybe it's 7 decades. You know what I mean? What is a week? But we are definitely under some kind of demonic oppression. I mean, I call it what you want. I mean, I'm not like trying to scare people with that, but if we don't get right with God, we're screwed.
Yeah, we do. We gotta. I mean, that's. Listen, we just whatever that I've been on a deep dive. I've been on a deep dive study with the whole genealogy from the old covenant going into the new covenant, and there's been so many things that have been aligned with historical referencing and then cross referencing with scripture, which I said in the beginning of the show, or that I look at scripture as historical literature, even though that it's considered holy texts, which I believe that also. I agree with that, but I also see it as historical literature where it's lining up with a lot of things throughout history. It's a compilation. It's probably a compiled compilation of our historical genealogy, the events of wars, the events of losing kingdoms and gaining kingdoms and tribes and all that, so on and so forth. And then it also points towards who the actual people are in power, and this is where we get the royal bloodlines, the so-called quote unquote royal bloodlines. And this all comes down to a stolen birthright. It all comes down to it. I mean, there's a lot of things to it. That would have to be a whole podcast in its own. But everything that has been playing out, you can match the majority of it scripturally. If you go along by reading the English with the Hebrew, and some of it being Aramaic and also some of it being Greek, and then also by taking Greek and then translating it through Hebrew or Aramaic and then retranslating it to English. And I know that seems like a lot of steps. It's really not that hard to do. You just have to, I mean, we have the technology to do it very quickly. There's books that can help you on doing that, definitions. There's the Hebrew dictionary, the Greek dictionary, and then you obviously have your English dictionary, and then you have a strong concordance that can help. All of those things can help you through those steps. So you take all of this stuff and then being able to actually know what the Mashiach had said. Like, now you know where this is all going towards, and ultimately we have to go through this. He did say, endure until the end, you will be saved. So the struggle hurts, the pain hurts, the suffering hurts, and this has all been a part of the plan. God doesn't want, from reading in scripture, God never intended for us to suffer the way that we've been all suffering, whether it be.
But he warned us. He warned us
of
that it would happen.
And that's the whole story. That's the whole story of the tree of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. If we hadn't said, like, we basically, what that story is saying, that mankind thought that he could lean on himself rather than lean on God. That's basically what that story is saying. And I do think that in part it's literal, but it's also showing that human beings have a tendency to lean on themselves and idolize themselves rather than be like, look, the Savior gave me everything, or the Creator gave me everything. I don't need anything else. And that's basically, on a very, very, very nutshell, very oversimplification of what Genesis is actually saying. It's saying mankind chose not to lean on God entirely because mankind thought that he needed more, and from that caused himself to fall because he idolized himself. And if we lean on ourselves to idolize ourselves, we lose ourselves into the darkness. Even though we're technically beings of light, we can bear light, but when we lean on our own understanding, because we're still children in comparison to the spiritual realm and to the spiritual world, we're technically the youngest. We're the children of it. So, like, we're like toddlers compared to the other higher realms of spirituality. We're barely, but through, according to the story, he sees us as very special and very there's something in there that it can be. I mean, in Revelations, we're actually, some of us are supposed to replace angels that have fallen. I mean, if you read in Revelations, it goes deep into that, and it's like, so this is more than just suffering. This is more than just pain. This is more than just going through things, even though it sucks because the flesh hurts. But this is the thing we have to defeat. This meat suit, this is the thing we have to defeat. And as long, brother, because as long as you keep your faith high and your prayers high and we got to do things that the Savior wanted us to practice. And in my opinion, and in fact, I think Scripture tells us is that we have to, if we follow his exact commandments in the way that he lived and the example that he wanted us to be, yes, the suffering will remain, but the way to battle that suffering will be easier, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, these systems,
absolutely,
these systems that are upon us all, it's all demonic. It's all demonic. It all comes from an occultic system. This isn't how we were supposed. This isn't the intention of what we were supposed to live as, at all. Even not for
we
nothing.
Should never have been left. We should never even have left the garden.
No, we should never have left the garden. We wouldn't need this technology. In my opinion, in my very strong opinion, I think technology is a useless thing in comparison to what we are intended to have. Now, I know some people out there may think like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like, what's life without an iPhone? I'm almost guaranteed that life without we weren't intended to have iPhones. We weren't intended to be tracked. We weren't intended to have tyranny. So, anyway, that's where I stand with that.
Hey, I hate to keep going back to episode 40, but I was thinking about that this morning. Is how if we'd have just stayed in the cave, how much better off we'd be now.
If we just stayed in the cave. Yeah.
I mean, life was good.
Living off the land.
But hey, man, I don't know how long you intended to stay on. It's well after 8:00 now. I think we've done a lot.
Yeah, we did, and I appreciate you for calling in. Once again, everyone out there, don't do it now because me and Freedom Man are gonna close out the show right now. But the new feature now on this show is that you can see the number at the bottom of the screen, I think, right there. Hopefully I'm pointing right there. It's 401-753-9940. So every time that I have a show, I think for most shows, I don't think for every show, maybe like towards the end of the show, I'll do it when I'm done talking, or if I have a guest on and we go through our conversation, then you can call in, talk to me and the guest also. Freedom Man's a perfect person to talk to. He's one of my favorite to have on here. Although even Megan that's come on here, she's very knowledgeable, very well researched. Libby out there that's tuned in, she's very well researched. Go follow her as well. I mean, I have a lot of people out here. If I'm not naming you, don't feel offended. There's so many. I have a lot of good people that I've had come on here. I have a lot of guests that are coming on here pretty soon too. A lot of the conversations that are going to be coming up we're going to be talking about scripture pretty soon with a guest who that's going to be an interesting one because I think there might be some conflict. That's all right. There might be some conflict on ideology or theology, but yeah, Freedom Man, I appreciate you, brother, for coming on also. And I know this is, and also I appreciate you for trying out the new feature, because typically I would just have you come on and just show your face, but I'm going to have you come in studio next time, because I know we've talked about it and I want that to happen. There's just a few people I got to get on here, but we'll talk more about it. But any last quick thoughts before we close out?
Well, no, I appreciate you, and I do want to do more with you. I really can't tell you how valuable it is to have resources like this. And sorry I got choked up there for a minute, but I'm telling you, man, the amount of emotion that I've been dealing with lately is I can't believe what's going on in this world, and we really, really need to get people to wake up. That's all I can say.
Yeah. No, yeah. Don't ever apologize about that, brother. Like look, I'll tell you a quick story before we close out. Is the day I think I might have mentioned it too. I'll mention it again, but I might have mentioned it on the show before. I was, you know, there was an accumulate, and it's been an accumulation of things. Sometimes I get really, really in deep thoughts about stuff that goes on, all the violence that goes on, and a lot of it, like the stuff that goes on in Nigeria, the stuff that goes on in Sudan, the Israeli Gaza conflict, which has right now been in a ceasefire, but it's not really in a ceasefire, and the whole Russia Ukraine stuff, and then people in shootings every day, even in Rhode Island, and then and then you see that girl on the bus get stabbed, and then you see police interactions being completely like brutal, and then we see a live action assassination actually happen, right? And I remember sitting at the table probably like the day after, or I believe it was like the day after, and it was accumulation of all of this, and I was just like my eyes was so full of tears I was blinded by it, where I was just and it wasn't necessarily, I mean, it was sadness, but it wasn't necessarily just that. It was it was anger. Like it was like a frustration anger, and I just kept, and I remember just saying like a couple of times, I was like, I just want God to rip the sky open and finally just finalize this already. You know what I'm saying? And I know that's kind of like, I know for some people out there in the world of, that's like saying, like that's like questioning God. We have a right to question it, and it comes from a place of great sorrow, because the world is in this way, under this demonic type of control, where the body wants to go out and do something about it, like in a violent way, I guess. But in a sense too, is like we have to have some type of restraint, because if we do that, I mean, where does it lead to? Where's the ending of that, right? But but I just wanted to relate to your story, is like it's very frustrating, and especially, and it's not just that, it's also like personal life too, like in all of that accumulating together, and that just kind of pours out, and it's like you're just angry, you're done, you're just done with the system, you're tired, you're tired of it, we're all tired of it, a lot of people are tired of it, and you're not the only one that feels that way, brother. I'm just letting you know you're not alone, and we got to keep our prayers.
All right, I got
one last
little tidbit.
Okay.
I normally don't use the King James Version anymore, but what's the shortest verse in the King James Bible?
The shortest verse?
Yeah.
In the King James Bible.
2 words.
2 words.
It's only 2 words.
In the beginning?
Jesus wept.
Oh, Jesus wept.
Jesus wept.
Yeah.
Because he sat there and looked out on the world with nothing else he had left to do. He just cried for us.
Yep.
And then, ultimately went to the cross for us. So let's just all try to stick together and do what we got to do.
100%, man. That's all we can do at this time, at this moment. And stay positive, stay optimistic, because eventually this stuff ends, and we just all got to be right with God when that time comes.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, brother, for tuning in, and everybody else that's tuned in. Make sure you like, share, subscribe on The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. And brother, I'll close this out with a prayer with us. Father God, hear us. Excuse me, Father God, hear us, and make sure, there's so many hurting out here. Provide them wisdom and guidance. For so many are lost, so many are frustrated, so many are angry, so many are in suffering, so many are in pain. Reveal to them as you've revealed to us through your word, through your promises, and through prayer, because you do answer. And those who may be seeking and are lost to you, may you utilize us to be the light for them to see you, and for them to also be lights for others who are seeking you. and so on and so forth, so that you are reached to the ends of the earth, and that your will be done. In your holy name, Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray, amen.
Amen.
All right, all. I appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Freedom Man, love you, brother. And I love you all out there, too.
You too, man.
Thank y'all for tuning in to The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Defeat the algorithm. Defeat the digital ID. Defeat the parasites that are trying to control this world and the demons that are trying to control this world. Keep yourselves and me and all others and all of us and your prayers. And we'll defeat this. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. All right, brother. Thank y'all once again to tuning into The True Perspective on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Rumble. Love y'all. Peace. If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to believe. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
This is a struggle for the survival.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
And this will be our last chance to say it.
Trying to free your mind, it is this feeling that has brought you to me.
At last.
No judge in U.S. history has ever told somebody what they can and can't say.
The whole purpose of the First Amendment is to keep the government the hell out of the business of speech.
Many of us had to be brought to the brink. A lot of us here have a calling.
I can only show you the door.
To awaken others.
You're the one that has to walk through it.
Keep spreading a message.
Something's happening, right?
The world is changing every day.
Civilization is weird.
Time is coming.
At a
Train
tipping
can't be stopped. It's already here.